Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition, and Happy New Year. We are back. We have Leon and Chemo on the show. Hope the first 10 days of the new year treating you both well. Well, I know Chemo is treating you like shit, but Leon, I hope it's treating you good. Let's just get straight into it. Obviously, we had a show kind of towards the end of December. We previewed a few fights. Those fights happened. Leon's wife was very happy with the result of one of them, being she is from Leeds, but we'll get into that. First of all, Chemo, go to you. You've been riding we both were kind of riding the train for Warrington. I jumped off when he kind of was having average performances, and then yeah, man, when he stepped up, he's really kind of done the business, and his performance against Frampton was excellent, I thought.
Yeah, mate, it was an absolutely cracking performance, wasn't it, Jim? It was really good, man. Like, it was better than I could have ever imagined. And I think we both always were a little bit on the Warrington train because he's just a very fundamentally sound guy. Like, take away the fact that he can't really, well, seemingly couldn't punch. He always kept his hands up nice and tight, good defense, good work rate, good cardio. Like I said, he didn't really have pop in his punches, but, you know, he always posed a good challenge to at least mid-level guys. And then, you know, he faced Selsby, and he kind of, I wouldn't say schooled, but I thought he dominated him. I thought he made him look fucking bad. And then the true test comes with Carl Frampton. Now, we can argue about whether Carl Frampton was a little bit over the hill. I personally think he's not really the same guy, but still a very, very credible opponent. I wouldn't call him shot by any means, but he's just, I don't think he kind of trains with the same fire that he used to, and I just don't think he is as explosive as he once was at the lower weights. But Cam, I mean, the fight was quite shocking, to be honest. And it started off with him hurting Frampton right off the bat. It's like, whoa, what the fuck is happening? And Frampton, you know, even though he's been hurt in the past, like, he's always had a sturdy beard, you know what I'm saying? So I was quite shocked by that. And I thought Warrington put on a very, very gutsy, gritty performance. He pushed the pace. He was slightly wild at times, but it was like controlled, you know, like some of the hooks he was throwing were a little wide, but he was hitting Frampton pretty much at will, which is fucking crazy if you think about it, right? Like, you're supposed to expect that at least Frampton is the better boxer in there, but I hate to say I told you so. Like, you know, I thought Warrington could get to him, and I thought it would be a close fight. And it kind of swung the other way completely. I mean, he just dominated it, man. He has underrated punching power, and even Frampton said that himself. I mean, he hurt him. He can crack. He's not a concussive knockout puncher, but he can certainly hurt you if you underestimate him. And he kept up the work rate. He barely took any rounds off. And he just, frankly, beat the crap out of him. So I was very impressed. I think Warrington is also, I know he's fighting a guy that fought at lower weights, but I also think physically he's just a strong dude, man. He's tough to deal with. And yeah, while it lasted, it was a very entertaining, one-sided scrap. I really, really enjoyed watching it. What did you think, Leon? And how were the festivities afterwards as well? Were you forced to put on a Leeds United shirt or not?
No. You being on the Warrington bandwagon is like, you just get on any bandwagon where there's just ridiculous hype. Like, if they've got mad fans, you'll just go with that fighter. So I don't know if you ever really truly believed in Warrington. I just think you like the banter.
Okay, well, hang on. First of all, you are correct. I do get on bandwagons for no apparent reason, but it's on archive that Cam and I have, you know, broken down his fundamentals numerous times. So yes, I enjoy the Leeds shit. And at one point, I was even looking online to order a Leeds shirt just for the lols of it. I didn't actually
that's
go
what
through
I mean.
it.
You got stuck on the hype train by trolling. That's what it's.
Yeah, but it was a combination of that, because, like I said, we've always broken down the technicalities of him as a fighter, and we've always said, like, we're impressed with him. Yeah, he had a few off performances here and there, but he's he's just a really solid guy. We've said that many times.
Oh yeah, I know. I think it's interesting that he's done it to two fighters who are considered to be skilled boxers, right? What in Frampton and Selby, different guys, but definitely like talked about as kind of like good boxers, right? And I just think that the one thing Warrington knew he had over both those guys is like fitness. He knew he was probably more determined, and he just outworked them in the places he knew he could outwork them in, and it worked. Like that was a ferocious pace he set. And like you said, he was a bit wild with his shots, but he was throwing them. They were wild shots, but they're thrown from the right place at the right time. The technique went a bit. Do you know what I mean? He was fundamentally in the right place to throw those shots. He just got a little bit overexcited at points. And I thought, what was the other thing? Is the big takeaway is also like, what was Frampton doing? Like, what was his game plan? Because I think that's another thing that they knew he has potential to start slowly, and they also know that he has sometimes suffered late in fights. So it's a pretty clear game plan to beat Frampton, for him anyway, with his gifts and talents.
I was huge.
Go on, Cam.
I was hugely disappointed with Frampton. I only given 3 rounds. I know you kind of got a view about Jamie Moore, but I thought Moore was like giving him the good advice. He just wasn't listening. He was standing in the pocket and trading, where you kind of should maybe even. I've always liked his half step back, but I think he needed like a full step back against Warrington, because he rushes in, he closes the distance so much that he's so close to you, like your hooks won't land unless you take like a full step back.
He's not as good on his feet, like physically.
And the thing is, in the Leo rematch, Leo showed that if you make Carl come forward, he's pretty useless. And Warrington was clever in maybe the second half of the fight when, you can't run that pace for 12 rounds. So he kind of picked his spots and he fought in spurts. He let kind of Frampton come forward while he was kind of taking a break. But Frampton wasn't doing anything when he was coming forward. So then when Warrington jumped in with those flurries and those like high-paced attacks, Frampton wasn't doing anything in return. So then really the rounds Warrington's, because Frampton did nothing on the back foot and then he did nothing on the front foot, and it was very good tactics by Team Warrington. And yeah, I was hugely disappointed with Carl, to be honest.
And the other thing that I thought Warrington was doing was, like you were saying, he was jumping in with those kind of high-paced attacks, and then Frampton was kind of covering up, or not doing much, and then he thought, I'll throw now, and Frampton and Warrington just started throwing through with him again straight away. Do you see what I mean? Like he would attack, and then as soon as Frampton would let any shots off, he would throw with him every time.
Yeah,
and I think also Frampton's a small, he's a small dude for that division.
Yeah, like I remember at one point you were saying you wanted to go to 130, man. That was just laughable, man. Like you can't compete with guys at 126. So what are you going to do at 130? But you guys got
Leon.
Yeah,
I just want to jump in for a second. You mentioned about. Sorry, mate. Can you hear me? Okay.
It's kind of choppy, but go on, try and talk.
Just cut me off if it's bad, but I was going to say, like, you mentioned about Frampton's so-called boxing skills, right? But he's pretty one-dimensional in his boxing. Like, it's a very simple 1-2 with a hook once in a while, pivot out. And I said this on the last show as well. Like, I don't think there's that many dimensions to his game. Doesn't mean that it's easy to deal with, because he is a very athletic guy as well who's hard to catch.
I think he used to be a little bit more spontaneous when he was back down a few weights, like the punch he caught, he knocked Kiko Martinez out, those kind of things. Like Cam said, those little half step back. He's not doing that now.
Well, he's lost a bit of that explosiveness in his legs. I don't know if that's due to age or him moving up in weight, but mate, let's not forget, a lot of these guys at the lower weights, they age a lot quicker in terms of their athleticism, right? guys that we generally see that in history, right? Guys at those lower weights, they kind of tend to peak around 28, 29, maybe 30. And then, heavyweights, for example, can go on for a lot older because it's just a different ball game. So
and he's got a history he's got a history of maybe not having the engine to do the whole fight, like even in that quick fight. Remember, Cam, I was up on there just like fretting, wasn't I, those last couple of rounds?
Yeah.
Telling Frampton to just get on his bike, get moving, because he started to throw that fight away. Like, he's got a history of not being the most physically gifted sometimes. Stamina.
He doesn't have the best cardio in the world, for sure. I mean, we all agree with that. Like, he's a bit like De Gale in that sense, where in the middle of the fight, he kind of gets into a bit of a slump. We have seen where he comes back a little bit, like against that Mexican dude that unfortunately, I think got assassinated in Mexico. The skinny kid, like where he got dropped early on and he does come back and push the pace, but there wasn't a lot there. I think Frampton in this fight is the first time we've ever really seen him truly get discouraged. Like you could see it in his face in the corner, and the corner didn't really know how to respond to it either. You could just see that he was getting battered and he didn't really know how to adjust. He was just standing in front of Warrington the whole fight, to be honest.
Frampton,
like he just...
To your point in the corner, Frampton almost looked embarrassed that he was getting beat by Warrington. Like it's like mentally he didn't expect Warrington to do that to him.
Yeah, and it could be one of those cases where you get cracked with a shot early on and you're just like, what the fuck? Like in Froch Groves 1, for example, like after Froch got dropped, it takes him at least like 6-7 rounds to kind of get his whole confidence back, and just to understand like what the fuck is going on. Warrington might not be the hardest puncher in the world, but Frampton could have easily been concussed as well and just overcome with shock and like.
Yeah,
wow.
He was landing cleanly on him regularly, wasn't it? It's not like he was. That's still doing damage, isn't it? If he's landing in that kind of, and he was being ferocious. He was putting his all into those punches. Yeah. I think you've got to give it to Warrington. Like, he's definitely. I know you got award. We're talking about kind of stuff later, but he's got to be UK Fighter of the Year, hasn't he?
Yes, that's a good point.
I definitely think this is a breakout performance of the year. I mean, nobody expected this, and nobody expected it to this extent. Like, it was a complete domination, and you combine that with the surprising punching power. I definitely think that it shocked all of us.
Look,
just by how fucking dominant it was.
And there's a chance he might not beat any of the other champions, but I think he'll make them work really hard for it. And I like the fact that he went straight for the Frampton fight, and I hope he goes straight after another champion and doesn't he doesn't need to do little fights, does he?
Well,
he can make money.
I did want to ask you both that, Barry, aka Kid Galahad, is mandatory. So, would you like to see that fight, and then maybe if he wins it, go and unify, or?
No, I don't want to see that fight.
Why?
Because who the fuck is he? Who is he beating?
I know, man. How is he the mandatory?
Yeah, it's beyond a joke. Like, he's got no business. Like, he needs to go and find someone to fight that's worthwhile before getting anything. Warrington doesn't need to be, like, that guy's beneath him. Like, he should be going after champions. That's what he should be saying to Frank. Like,
plus he's a juice head.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be fighting, and if he does, I hope he batters him.
Well, Cam, I know you're.
I think he would on this kind of run. He would probably fancy that fight because he think I'll just walk. I'm not worried about this guy.
Just blitz him.
Yeah, I think he could, don't you? What's he done other than be at that gym, right? So he's getting credit for being at a gym. That's his only history. He's got beaten no one.
Stylistically,
the only reason people rate him is because of his stylistic thing that comes from a gym.
Yeah,
right.
Stylistically, if Warrington put that performance on that he did against Selby and Frampton, then I can't see how Galahad would beat him, to be honest, because Galahad kind of likes to work at his own pace, and he is a good counterpuncher, but I think that onrush, he'd find it hard to defend against.
Yeah. And Warrington's the ace. I'd make the ring 5 foot by 5 foot. Like, give him nowhere to go. Get him you know what I mean? Like, yeah. He could do that to him, couldn't he? Put him in the smallest ring possible and go on, try and run for 12 rounds.
Yeah, true. But you guys,
no, I don't want to see that
one
fight.
One guy has proven himself, and
Yeah.
the other guy totally hasn't. Like, what the fuck has he done? Like, he hasn't done anything to either earn it, but also to prove himself to be at world level. So I don't know. Honestly, if you would ask me right now off the bat, like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what the fuck Kid Galahad has done over the last couple of years. I really don't know.
No one
Like,
knows.
I don't know. I couldn't name you one fighter he's faced, honestly. But I know Cam is secretly excited about the potential
And
of this
if you
fight. 'Cause
do-
I know you still have a soft spot for Galahad. I know that, Cam.
And if you do know who he's been fighting over the last 2 years, you should be embarrassed.
That's probably
That's
Cam.
too far.
No.
That's
To
too
be honest,
far. Your
Chemo, like
boxing
I'm
was
not
too
too
far.
bothered about Galahad these days. But I know belts don't mean that much. But, you know, Warrington's worked so hard to get a belt. I'd hate to see him drop it, just to not fight. Just to not fight Galahad, but I would
But
like
if he's
unification.
if he does a unification, surely that like outranks
It does,
doesn't
but
it?
I think I read somewhere that the time of him applying for the unification fight has expired or some shit like that. So I might be wrong, but I would love the Valdez fight. I think the Valdez fight would be a bit of a war. I know, like, Warrington does lack power, and Valdez like throws everything into every punch, and he does carry a bit of power. And both guys kind of would just throw for the sake of throwing. I think that would just like be an old school kind of gutty war type of fight. So that's what I'm hoping for in this year.
But I would say, do you think? I'd think Warrington's chin and energy levels are better than
Energy
Valdez.
levels, yeah, but we don't really know his chin. Like, who has he fought that's a big puncher?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right.
You know
He
what
just
the thing
seems
is
just like
with
a solid
Valdez?
dude, really.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is with Valdez? Like, he telegraphs a lot of his punches, so the chances of him catching Warrington with a shot that he doesn't see, in my opinion, are quite low. And as we said, Warrington doesn't really fuck around too much defensively. You know, like this, what we saw in this fight was quite out of character because usually he doesn't really go wild like that. I think he felt like he could get Frampton out of there. That's why he pressed the action. But usually, you know, he's got his hands up, tight defense, and I think he has the ability to throw the shorter, crisper shots than Valdez.
Yeah.
Valdez really throws a fastball every fucking punch, man. Like, it's really crazy. Like,
And Warrington,
he has a tremendous gas tank as well, but he telegraphs it too much.
And I think Warrington for a Brit is quite a good inside fighter, like for a Brit.
Good body work too.
Yeah, you know, I think it would be really good. I'm not saying that you say Warrington's a favourite in any of these fights, but like, I just hope he takes them.
Kimo, have you noticed, like, Leon's like giving a lot of praise to Warrington, man? What's going on here? It's like he's done a 180.
Well, mate, because
What
exactly
180?
what happened.
What are you talking about? 180? I can't remember who I picked. Did I pick Frampton?
Yeah, of course you picked Fran.
Fuck
Mate,
off.
I was
I
the
don't
only
like
one that
this
picked.
show.
I even said like I think Warrington's got a good chance. I'm not sure if I picked him. Maybe I said that Frampton will probably win, but you picked Frampton 100%. You said he would school it.
No, I don't know about that. I think you're being overzealous.
Nah, mate, that's what you said, mate.
He was good though, wasn't he? He was good. So I'm trying to work at being a better person, Cam.
You're just trying to make.
I think
really crappy
I think you just got humbled. I think it was a tremendous performance, and you just have to admit the fact that he's a world-class fighter.
World champion.
He's a world champion. That's what he
Right,
is.
let's hurry up then. What the rest of that card was like?
Liam Williams performed pretty good against Mark Heffron. Martin Murray lost to Endam, which was kind of funny, man, because Murray always thinks he wins these fights and then he doesn't, but this time he actually didn't. So
That Heffron was a bit of a hype job, wasn't he?
yeah.
Heard on and like Williams, that's the best I've seen him.
Billy Joe was on at about 5-6 o'clock against nobody.
Cruiserweight,
Yeah,
wasn't he? Cruiserweight.
Yeah, came in at 178 and a quarter, which was quite hilarious.
He is definitely the bum of the year, isn't he?
Yeah, easily.
That
All
guy
that
is
social media
fucking
stuff.
sickening, man. Oh,
We'll save that for later. But same night we had Dillian White, Derek Chisora rematch in London, the O2 Arena. Decent second fight and ended in a pretty impressive KO, Kimo.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually looking forward to it. I thought these guys, whatever, mate. I thought it was a good fight. Again, like the first fight was very entertaining. I know you don't like sloppy heavyweight fights, but I can certainly appreciate them. If it turns out into some violence, and it wasn't quite as mental as the first one, but it was still good. They were both aggressive. Chisora, I thought, didn't look as good as the first fight. I don't know why exactly that was. I think White was a lot more calmer and confident in this fight.
You know what? I think
and he kind of saw everything
but he was up
coming.
on the cards.
You know what I think it was, Kimo? I think White engaged a lot more from the start of the first fight, where in this fight it seemed like he was holding a bit more in the tank for the later rounds. So he was kind of picking his counter punches maybe in the first half of the fight, and then he started to let his hands go a bit more in the second half. Because if you look at the first fight, they just went to war from basically the first round, and I think that kind of favoured Derek, where in this fight, even though I think Derek won a lot of rounds just from kind of body work and going forward, it kind of, I think, hampered him towards the end, because I think the shot that caught him did a lot more damage because he was kind of depleted of energy. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off anyway.
No, it's fine. So I also thought, I don't know if it's just a result, like you said, of White choosing to engage more, but the punches in the second fight of Chisora just looked really predictable, and you could visibly see on White's face that he was very confident because he saw everything coming. Even when he was on the ropes, and Chisora started throwing some wild hooks, like, he wasn't ever really fazed by it. He was like, okay, here comes the left hook, here comes the right hook. There's nothing coming through the middle, basically. I'm good. And then he would just kind of walk off a little bit.
Good point.
And he was very comfortable. He was very comfortable throughout the whole fight, and you could see his eyes were focused. He could see every little punch coming, that was thrown by Chisora. So he just looked like the overall better skilled fighter, man. And it's weird to say that about Dillian White, obviously, but I got to give him credit for that. Again, I feel like it's a combination of things, but Chisora just didn't look like he really had that snap on his punches. But
it's
I think in the
he's
first
45
fight,
years old. He's just like,
mate, when somebody's hurt, everything looks better. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because he hurt White in the other fight, like when you start throwing punches and everything lands and you get a dramatic reaction, you're just like, oh wow, Chisora still got it, But I think if you hurt somebody, it kind of changes the game a little bit. And he was able to hurt White several times in the first one. This time, not so much. And once you get tired and you leave yourself open, you become vulnerable for the knockout. And that's exactly what White capitalized on late as well, which I think is another impressive point. And I was very satisfied with the fight. I like to talk about the post fight, but I'll let you guys finish first on the actual scrap. So go ahead.
I haven't really got anything else to say. Just White had a pretty decent year overall, even though I don't really want this dude on pay-per-view after pay-per-view, because I don't really see him as a pay-per-view fighter. You got some good wins. He struggled in the Parker fight, but he knocked out Brown, but he was a bum anyway. But impressive knockout against Chisora. So decent year for Dillian White. Leon?
Yeah, pair of bums. I don't care what anyone says.
Short and sweet. Kimo, what point?
It was just quickly like Chisora's not got it anymore. Like he got this fight with a punch from hell against Takam to get this fight, right? So he was getting beaten in that fight, but he was beating White in this fight on the scorecards, and I agree. I thought he'd won lots of rounds, and White is not how bad is division that he's now considered number 4 in the people are talking like he's 4 and 5 in the world off that run. Because
the division is very shallow. That's why
Parker's been exposed to have no heart for it. So I'm not impressed.
You're never impressed by the heavyweight division.
Not by heavy. Well, that wild. Sometimes they live up to it, but very rarely.
Yeah. Kimo, what's your point about the aftermath?
So, I think it's fascinating how things have shifted in the heavyweight division. Because if you go back a little bit, AJ just came off the Klitschko win. He stepped up after so very little, professional experience to face probably the best heavyweight of the last generation. And everybody was praising him after such a dramatic comeback. And then all of a sudden, Fury kind of just weasels his way back into the scene after a barrage of bullshit on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube that he's bothered us with, including me, and I always fucking hated it because he was a fat fuck and was never realistically going to get back into the ring. And then all of a sudden, this fight gets announced between him and Wilder, and we're all skeptical about it. And then it actually happens, and it turns out to be a great fight. And both guys' stock are kind of just raised. And now AJ almost is in a position where, if you ask me, it's really fucking cringy, and it just doesn't look good on him. And he's not a guy that can kind of talk his way out of being in a certain position in the division, right? Like, he's not a charismatic guy that can kind of sway people towards him by being, by saying the right things. And now he's in a position where he's kind of, I don't know, man. It seems to me like a lot of people are just not feeling it. And I'm not talking really about the British public. I don't really know if he's still viewed in the same way by the mainstream. I really don't know that. You guys can tell me. But the whole interaction with Dillian Whyte was just fucking cringy, in my opinion. And then you have Eddie Hearn afterwards saying that, oh yeah, we're trying to make the Wilder fight, but it's not really there. It looks like, and he literally said this, it looks like Whyte is actually the front runner. And it just seems like a lot of hoopla and a lot of theater, to kind of hide the fact that basically you're trying to make AJ Whyte 2, which is a fight I do not want to see. And I don't think anybody really wants to see that, maybe except for mainstream UK fans. And I don't know, the whole image of AJ has just completely shifted, and Fury somehow, the motherfucker, has just made himself a hit from an anti-hero to a hero. Like, everybody respects him now. Oh, the comeback and the losing the weight and going toe to toe with Wilder and coming back like the Undertaker. Like, it's incredible just how things have shifted. I think that's quite a fascinating storyline. But yeah, AJ, man, when he started getting on the apron and he started talking, I'm just like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Like, you're just so cringy and cliche. Like, I can't really deal with it. And I don't know, for Whyte, like, I understand that he wants that rematch. I really get it. But I think you made a good point as well. Like, he's earned his way back into the picture, and whether he wants to wait or not is up to him. But he's definitely now, I would say, like, top 5 gunning for a title shot. With who, I don't really give a shit. But it's unfortunate that a lot of people are tied up. But if you were to put money on it, Cam, do you think that Whyte's AJ is next? Because I think so.
I think it's been next for a while. I think they just put on a pantomime just to pretend like they're interested in the Wilder fight. But I think, Dillian Whyte was on that name for April for a long time.
Do you believe, though, that AJ doesn't want the Wilder fight? Because I don't believe that. I do believe he wants a big fight. I think he wants the Wilder fight. I believe he wants the Fury fight. I just think that they really got outsmarted by Fish Eyes and, the way they present themselves in the media. I think it's just a bad look. I do think they want the fight.
I honestly don't know. I think that they are the A side, which in most parts they are, but I think it's dangerous when you think that, because you can't always dictate terms to other people. Like, Wilder is also a belt holder. Most would say maybe the green belt is the most prestigious belt, so he has a lot of clout as well. He came off a good fight against Ortiz and then Fury, so I just think Hearn and Josh want to pay out small purses or small percentages or whatever, and they want to hold the big bucks. So I think personally that's what's holding the big fight between Wilder and Joshua off. That's just my opinion. I might be completely wrong.
So, and I think in some ways them putting on Whyte 2 might be quite good for them, because I think they struggle to sell out a big stadium with that fight. I think it could be quite a humbling experience for them to realise that there has been that shift, because they're a bit kind of, ostrich and, with their head in the sand about the impact of that Wilder Fury fight. Eddie Hearn was saying, "Oh, it wasn't a great fight; it was an okay fight." They've been trying to do that fight down since it happened, and I think that kind of half in the ring, half out the ring performance from AJ was just like shows how much real interest he has in that White fight. Like he couldn't even bother to get in the ring,
but even
some little runner just said you can't get in the ring, and he accepted it. Like
even White was a bit
people
of a
just
bitch,
push go shut up and just get in the ring, wouldn't they?
But
like
White was a bit of a bitch as well because he just like ran out of the ring like a temper tantrum from a toddler.
It's all it's all pathetic. Like I just think let them put that fight on, hope it fails, and then they have to come to the table.
Talking about ring, I don't know if you guys saw it. I didn't see it at the time, but I saw it on someone made a video of it afterwards and put it on Twitter. When Kid Galahad tried to get in the ring after Warrington Frampton, and the security were like, "No, mate," and he just had to step down, embarrassed.
Fantastic. No, I didn't see that.
Midget bum. That's why they're not going to let him in. They probably thought he was some random geezer.
It was hilarious. But anything else regarding Chisora and White or White in the heavyweight division?
No, thank you.
No, I think that's about it, Cam. But, God. Chisora has really, he's really been through the gauntlet, man. Like, I don't know how much this guy still wants to fight. And it sounds like he will continue to fight, but
I think
he's going to be one of those. Yeah, I think he will too. But I think it's going to be one of those guys that's really going to be a sad state when he's a little bit older, man. Like he's just taking a lot of punches, and I think you notice it a bit already when he talks. Like I don't know, man. The guy's always been a bit of an airhead, like a spacer, but he there's just something about it, man. He doesn't look 100% when he talks. Like I don't know. It's a bit worrying.
Yeah, and Carlos Takam was on the undercard and he called him out again, so I definitely see a rematch in April or May between probably a headline the O2 knowing Eddie Hearn.
Well, I don't know about that, but Chisora has a way of always like finding a few bums on an undercard and then weasel himself back into a big fight. I don't know how he does it every time, but that's probably what's going to happen.
Nah, man, now he's got David Haye on his side, man. He's going to go straight to the top again.
Oh, good Lord, David Haye.
Undercard-wise, I just want to quickly give some props and some hate towards a few people. Ryan Walsh got a good win over Reece Bellotti. I thought he won it comfortably. I don't know how someone scored it for Bellotti, but that's boxing for you. That's the Eddie Hearn card for you. Christopher Rosales versus Charlie Edwards. Edwards was excellent. He never stood still in front of Rosales. That's where Rosales has most success, when he kind of walks you down and just stands in front of you and beats you to the body and to the head. And Edwards was always moving, man. He just boxed and moved through the whole night. And I've got to give props, man. He was very good. Takam beat up a nobody, so skip that. David Price got a win finally. Pricey beat Tom Little. Bit of a shady stoppage by the ref, to be honest. Like, Little was hurt, but Kieran McCann, the ref, just kind of waved it off. Didn't really give Little opportunity to maybe try and fight back or anything. I don't really like stoppages like that. I think sometimes you should give the guy benefit of the doubt, but Price is a big puncher, so maybe he was looking out for his best interests. And I don't know if you saw it, Kimo, but the Joshua Buatsi fight, he fought Reynold Quinlan, former opponent of Chris Eubank Jr. Did you see this, Kimo?
I just literally, like, before we did the show, I turned it on YouTube, and the fight was like 4 minutes and 40 seconds long. Yeah. So apparently he just slept him quite quickly, right?
Right, so it was one of our favorite referee, Terry O'Connor's last fight as a A-class referee, yeah? Give him a big praise and props before the fight started from the MC. And then, during the first round, they kind of get tied up. Connor calls break. Buatsi hits Quinlan after the call. Quinlan's kind of visibly hurt. He takes a knee, and then Connor's like, no, stop messing about. Get up, mate. Makes him get up, makes him continue fighting, and then Buatsi lands a few more shots. He landed a really nice, I think it was a right uppercut, left hook. Dropped him pretty badly. Quinlan did get up, but O'Connor waved it off, man. And the Sky commentary again, they didn't mention about the punch and all that, but they're just like, oh, Buatsi looks so great. He's done it again to the first round stoppage. The guy should have got fucking disqualified. Like, I love Buatsi, yeah, but some of these boxers on the Sky shows, like, it's happened with Anthony Fowler numerous times when they hit the guy on the floor. They never get any repercussions, man. It's like this. It's the Wild West out there. They can do whatever the fuck they want. It's terrible.
I think Terry O'Connor wasn't quite satisfied with the havoc that he's fucking created over the years, and he's like, that's my last fight. Let me fuck this one up a little bit more. Like, the guy is just absolutely one of the worst fucking referees I've ever seen in my life.
I'm so glad he's gone, man. Like, now we just need John Lewis to quit. Maybe Howard Foster to go as well, and then bring in some new, fresh talent, man. Because these guys have been ruining fights for years.
Man, there's levels to the shit, though, right? Like, Terry O'Connor makes fucking Howard Foster look like, I don't know, give me a good one. Like, he's just terrible, man. Yeah. Everything about him is his frame as well. He's just this really fat, tall, pudgy old bastard that just doesn't know what's going on. I don't know. He just really. I'm glad he's fucking off, man. Really, it's. I just watched the fight, by the way, as you were talking, and it's. Yeah, Buatsi. I mean, I like the guy. Like fundamentally, he seems very sound. He's got good power, good inside fighting, good body work. I've said this for numerous times already, but I'm just kind of sick of watching him fight bums. And the guy he fought, by the way, what's his name, Quinlan, or like he didn't look that good in shape, man, to be honest. I remember when he fought Eubank, like, he was pretty jacked, but now he looks like he just got off the couch.
I think it was a pretty late kind of call, so I don't think he had that much preparation, to be honest. That's typical him, though. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's typical BS of another opponent that doesn't really do anything. And I've done this rant on Anthony Yarde numerous times, but I can do the same thing about Buatsi. And Buatsi is probably, arguably the more talented guy, at least in my opinion. We don't really know until we see them in the ring with somebody proper, but I rate him higher, and I have nothing really to go off to base that on. Like, you could only beat up so many taxi drivers, man. Like, I'm getting kind of sick of it.
Yeah.
And whether it's Yarde or anybody else, like, I just want to see a live body in there. And I don't want to go from 0 to 10. Like, build him up, man. Give him a fucking decent British champion. Like, give him somebody.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because I read that he is interested in making a fight between him and Callum Johnson. Johnson, who just fought Beterbiev recently. So I think that's a very good step up for him, to be honest.
Hang on, Cam, because I just saw a tweet about that from our friend Brian King. If I remember correctly, I'm just whipping out my phone to see if that's true. I read something about, because Callum holds the belt, right, currently?
I think he's still British champion unless he relinquished it. But as far as I know, I think he's still British champion.
So I think Chad Hogan retweeted this, that I'm just looking it up now. 1 second. That basically Callum is going to vacate the belt, and then Joshua will fight a random dude for that belt.
I think, yeah, Shams 1000 in the chat. I think he's saying it's Jose Burton, which isn't a bad fight either.
No, it's not. Callum Johnson has vacated his British light heavyweight belt, so Joshua Buatsi versus Liam Conroy has been ordered for the vacant belt. First bid February 13th.
Oh shit, man! Let's pray for Liam.
But like, those two should just. That Yarde is the worst of the lot for like pumped up like resume. Out of all of that lot.
Yeah, because at least you can say like Buatsi's still like in his early fights, where Yarde just fought bums for a long time.
Everyone went mental when he beat that Sedge Locker.
Yeah.
Stopped him, right? This is a guy who's well past his best and was always in wars, and he went up a division to fight Yarde, and then Yarde stopped him, and everyone went mental about that victory.
No, but like,
you can't take that seriously.
Before he got stopped, though, like, Sedge Locker was putting hands on him, like, he was catching.
Exactly, he was, yeah. So, I mean, like, he's highly overrated at the moment for me. He's... How many fights is he in? He's like number 2 in the world. Has he just ducked that Barrera? Like, I think it's a joke. That hype is just mental.
Yeah. Just quickly on Buatsi, did you see that Quinlan fight, Leon?
No, I didn't watch any of that undercard.
That's fair enough. Don't blame me, to be
You're
honest.
missing out, mate. More Adam
I'm
Smith.
watching Big Face and Yard and all these bungs. I can't be fucking with that shit.
Leon
I
got
get
what
it, man.
he
You're
should
just
do.
waiting for
Bet
Pickford
Card
to
was
come back.
on B2. Yeah. Pigford comes back on Box Nation.
Kimo, you know who trains Pickford these days? Ricky Hatton, man.
Are you serious?
Serious, bro.
That might actually be a golden combination. I could see them gel well together.
Yeah, I see some training tweets, and I think he had a fight recently down south in some small hall. So the Pickford's back on the comeback trail. Like, even though he's
Release the pig.
not really lost, he just kind of fell off the map, didn't he? Like, when was that fight that we went to, Leon? A year and a half ago.
Yeah, it must be. Whenever Javontes Davis versus Walsh, wasn't it? I mean, that was... Yeah. A year, 4 months, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while. But anything else regarding that O2 card? I think we've kind of covered it.
No, man.
Kimo, let's move over to the same night, but in Barclays, in Brooklyn. The Lions Only brothers were fighting. Jamel Charlo was fighting Tony Harrison. Jamal was fighting Korobov. I don't know, Kimo. Like, I've seen most people consider the fight it was a pretty bad robbery. I have read things, and I can understand some people's opinion about Harrison's cleaner work. But for me, I had it 7-5 to Charlo. I can't really see a win for Harrison, especially in the later rounds where he was just basically running on the back foot and he wasn't really doing much. He was still countering now and again, but the volume and aggression was coming from Charlo. So, what was your thoughts on it, Kimo?
I mean, I actually read quite a lot of, because I was traveling, right? I saw a lot of tweets that were saying, oh, Charlo's losing, this many rounds up, like kind of halfway throughout the fight when it was going on. And when I finally watched the fight on the airplane, like, I was like, what are people watching? I don't know, maybe it's just skewed by a couple of people that are Charlo haters. I really don't know. But I don't think he lost that fight. I don't think Harrison did enough. Honestly, like, it was what was that?
Oh, nothing. Go on. Carry on.
I don't know, man. Like, first of all, and then this applies to both fights, I don't think they were that entertaining. I don't think the styles gelled very well together. There was a lot of single punches being thrown, not a lot of combinations, not a lot of activity.
A lot of waiting.
Frankly,
from Charlo.
I really...
There was a lot of waiting. It's like he was there ready to throw, but he was always like a split second behind throwing the punches. Like, he picked up the pace in the second half, but even Jamal against Korobov, like, he was always waiting, then he got countered by the southpaw left hand, man. It's like they weren't getting off first quick enough. They were just taking a bit too long.
Well, I mean, but it applies to all of them, right? Like, I don't think any of those four dudes that got it in the ring that day really did anything. And you say push the pace, but man, there wasn't a lot of pace to be pushed, to be honest. Like, you might talk about a couple of more punches here and there, but it didn't really turn anything that was entertaining for me. And at one point, I sat through the Jamel fight because I really, really wanted to see what the fuss was about. And I managed to sit through for 12 rounds. The Jamal fight, I couldn't, man. I got fucking bored. Like, halfway, I just started skipping rounds, and then it was like, nothing's happening. Okay, fuck it. Let's just go to the final few rounds. And then again, nothing exciting was really happening. So, Harrison, mate, look, I respect the fact that he had a little bit of success in there. Like, the jab was working here and there. He landed a couple of meaningful shots. When he did land some crisp shots, but there was nowhere near enough to earn a lot of these rounds, man. Like, you have to throw more than that. I'm not going to go into this bullshit, of an Erislandy Lara where you land 3 punches and dance around the fucking ring and then say you've run the round. No, I'm sorry. And it wasn't like Charlo was not landing any punches. Like, he was at least having more activity than the other guy. So, frankly, I just think he won most of the rounds. I would say like 7-8 rounds at least will go to Charlo off the top of my head.
Remind me how you scored the first Triple G Canelo fight.
The first fight was Well, actually, I can tell you, in the arena, I was a little fangirl and I was screaming my ass off in a bandana and scored it for Canelo. And then I went around everybody in Las Vegas saying, huh?
It was a similar performance, him and Harrington.
No, but if you remember, Leon, I did go back and watch the fight later on when I calmed the fuck down. And I did have it, I think, 1 round to Triple G.
So you can't see how Harrison got the win in that one, but you can see how he got 1 round, a round close to only 1 round between Canelo and Triple G, but Harrison couldn't have won that fight.
Yeah, but you can't just compare the 2 fights. It's different aesthetics of the fight.
He did about the same work. I'm fucking with you.
I think stylistically it was a little different.
With you.
I know you're fucking with me, mate, but I'm look, mate. You have to understand. Like I was a fangirl that day, and it was glorious, and I was so excited. And I told everybody in Vegas that
I'm just saying,
while wearing a Canelo bandana, that Canelo won that fucking fight, which threw away all my credibility. But it's not the same fight, obviously. But Harrison just was too passive. I'm sorry.
Oh, but they were about as passive as each other. I mean, that's what I'm saying. With the way Harrison won that fight, because Charlo did fuck all for 9 rounds, basically, as far as I could see. He did fuck all. So how are you meant to score it other than the guy who's laying hands on him?
Because Jamel at least pushed the pace and threw more punches.
So throwing more punches and moving forward can score you. Like, that's your okay. Now, I'm just saying that, like, Charlo didn't do it anywhere near enough to win those early rounds. Landed on clean work. I mean, Charlo did fuck.
For me, Leon, I think
even if I could say I thought it was a close fight, but he deserved to lose.
For me, there were a lot of close rounds. Like, there wasn't much in him. I favoured Charlo's aggression, and even though he wasn't landing clean a lot, he was landing in shoulders and arms and shit. Like, at least he was throwing. Like, Harrison was looking for too many opportunities to counter, and sometimes he had the opportunity and still didn't counter. Like, he did land a lot of nice counter right hands, but it was few and far between.
No, those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts exactly, Cam. One thing I also want to
mention. So the other stumbling prick gets points for just, like, clobbering forward. Is that... I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but I mean, he wasn't fucking doing anything, was he, Charlo? I mean, they're difficult to score, just some slapping the man in his shoulders. I mean, he didn't land.
You know, the thing is,
clean for like 7 or 8 rounds.
No, I think you're being disingenuous to take a word from MV2. Like, he did. You need to rewatch that fight because I want.
No. I'm just saying you can see a way Harrison wins that fight. I thought it was very close. But if you're going to score, like, they both didn't do a good job, but you're scoring, I think there's a way to score at Harrington just on clean work. That's it. I think it was a close fight.
I personally couldn't score it from him.
Robbed,
at worst, I could give it
nothing to the fight to deserve to win it. He got his comeuppance for a very underwhelming performance.
At worst, for me, I could maybe score it a draw, but there's no way, like, he won maybe 7 rounds to have it 7-5. Like, there were rounds when he got caught with the right hand and like reverse 1-2s and shit. So and where he was kind of visibly hurt, and then he went on the back foot. Like, there's no way. Like, for me, Harrison won that fight. Even his reaction afterwards, like, he kind of like he was more shocked than anyone in the whole arena that he got the decision.
Take Harrington out, like, take him out of the ring, and just look at Charlo's performance, and like, it's a poor performance, not the kind of performance that usually wins a fight. I thought it was very close.
I think you're being overcritical. If you see it's very close, did you have Harrison winning?
I can't remember, but I didn't really score it. I just remember thinking Charlo hadn't done anything for 7 or 8 rounds. That was my gut feeling.
You were probably, like, drunk off the mulled wine, mate. It was like
no. I watched
3
it
days before Christmas
on the computer. I watched it in the day. I just thought neither person deserved to win the fight. Really, that's the kind of fight.
Yeah, but those are 2 different things. Like, I agree with you in the sense that on both sides it was a very disappointing performance, and it's really not a fight, to be honest, that is worth arguing over. You know what I mean? Like it really wasn't that good at all. And
Yeah,
frankly,
it was poor. He got what he
it
deserved.
was a poor fight. I don't know about that, but everybody has a poor performance sometimes. But again, it's not really worth arguing over. If there is a rematch, I think Charlo will easily take back his belt. I think Harrison just. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
One thing I want.
the boxing god punishing him for a poor performance. That's what I think it kind of is. But that guy did still land clean shots on him. Like
Absolutely.
5-6 rounds.
And there is an argument to be made here to show the blueprint.
Yeah.
There is an argument here to be made to show the blueprint on how that Charlo can be gotten to. I mean, Jermell was always kind of the lesser talented guy, right? But there is absolutely an argument to be made that, these guys are vulnerable. Like they can be beat. But I think also because you for example, and this has no impact on the scoring, yeah. So don't take this the wrong way. But you said something about Canelo Triple G, for example.
Yeah.
Here, but with Harrison, for example, you are basically a fucking nobody fighting against Charlo, and maybe it was your expectation that you would have some success in there. Whether that was the case or not, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and for him to kind of be that passive in the ring, I thought was also, whether it's bad judgment or not, I don't know, but it's just disappointing, man. Come on, man. If you have a fucking chance to take a world title, and
I'm just saying it's not a robbery. I don't care who wins, really.
Yeah, let me finish my point. I'm just saying from Harrison's side, it's just you should be doing more, man. I know he got the decision, but he could have easily not gotten it as well. And the fact that you had the skills to put hands on this guy, you should have done more, man. Like this is your chance at a world title shot. Like, come on, man, fucking go for it, dude. Like I thought he was way too held back, man. Like he could have done a lot more. But then again, when you open up, things can change dramatically. So the fact that he fought such a conservative fight maybe played in his favor as well. I don't know, but from both guys' side, it was just incredibly disappointing.
Kimo, I think he was just pleased. I think he was just pleased to get past the 9th round, because every time he's gone past the 9th, he gets iced. So when he got past the 9th, I think he thought, yeah, man, I'm gonna win this fight now.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. I mean, I think he's just aware and he didn't want to get knocked out. And judging by his reaction as well, like I think he had a gut feeling that it could have swung his way, and then he finally got it. He was like super excited, obviously, but it was almost like, you know what, I'm just gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna fight this fight, stick to the game plan, and roll the dice and see what happened. And he got away with it. So I don't know. That's all I can say, man. It was not much else to talk about, because frankly, it was just very fucking boring.
Yeah, should we script the Korobov Charlo fight?
I didn't watch that.
That's fine. I just want to give props though, man. They had Joe Goosen on commentary, and I was really impressed, man. I hope we see him more on these Fox PBC cards, because I thought he was very well spoken. He broke down shit that was going on. He even kind of helped towards, like when they were doing little cuts in between, coming back from interviews and shit, man. I thought he was really good, man.
Never in doubt, Cam. Never in doubt.
Cam, you love Goosen so much. Even if he was shit, you wouldn't have said it, right?
Everyone loves Goosen.
I do too. See, I'll tell you something funny though. When I watched the fight, I didn't realize it was Goosen as I was watching it, because I was off the air for a little bit, right? And I was watching. I just thought it was a random fucking professional guy from a sports channel or whatever that just came to do commentary. And then I realized, hang on, it's fucking Joe Goosen. Like, he was very, very relaxed, very professional, like you say. Well spoken, good choice of words. Yeah, man, it was nice to have him on the air. And he doesn't dominate. He doesn't try to do anything crazy. Like he says enough, and he gives his input whenever it's needed, and that's it. He doesn't go all fucking Mauro Ranallo on us, with ridiculous shit, or trying to overachieve like that fucking Mark Regal cunt. Good lord.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Lennox? I thought Lennox was kind of he's okay, nothing special.
But Lennox has always been meh, even in the HBO days, there's certain moments where I'm like, he's doing okay, and then he says some weird shit again, and I'm just like, Lennox, like, he just has a weird.
He's too dry. He's too dry for it.
Yeah, he's very dry. He's got a weird flow when he speaks sometimes. You know, it takes him sometimes a long time to make a point too. Like
He's
okay.
Massive stoner, isn't he? Now, I reckon, massive stoner.
Yeah, he must be baked on air as well, actually. But
yeah, I think. So.
I mean, that's what I would do if I was him and I had a shitload of money. But
all right, let's move on. December 15th, Chemo. Rocky from Stocky just let us all down just by being terrible.
Wow. That
was embarrassing, man. That was fucking embarrassing.
Yeah. You know, I can't tell what's more embarrassing. His actual performance or the commentary. This guy. Like, the commentary was like, oh my Lord. Like, they were just like, you know what? We're gonna add a little notch to this fucking shit. Like, we're gonna go sky to the times 10. Like, the amount of times, hey, he's so brave, and he's got nothing to be ashamed of. You know, like, he just got hammered and had nothing to show for himself. Like, why exactly is he brave? And he got a massive pay, you know, he got a massive pay for the belt that he was fucking holding, which was kind of like a bullshit belt. I mean, yeah. Just embarrassing, kind of. I don't know what else to say, man. It was easy pickings for Canelo.
Bro, that's when the rest of the world thinks as Brits are just like bums, man. When like Rocky Fielding just goes out and performs like that, man. I was embarrassed, man. Like, obviously we knew from the start that it was a joke of a fight, but his performance, like, I don't even know what the game plan was. Like, what? If I was him, I would have just came out first round and just try and blitz him. Like, if I fail and get knocked out, then fair enough. But it's like he was just happy to like lose and just keep taking knees and shit, and waved off, I'm happy, man, got my check, go home. You know, it's awful.
Murray's 3 fighters lost in like 7 days.
More. You said Murray.
More, sorry. And they all had the same tactics of just like standing directly in front of the guy. Well, that's
but Stocky has always done that, right?
Yeah.
Has he ever done anything else?
No, I mean, I think the whole thing is embarrassing from beginning to end, like, Canelo taking it to grab a little trinket that's beneath him. I mean, Rocky's actually the only one he shouldn't be embarrassed. He should be embarrassed with his performance, but I can understand why he take the fight. But that happening and Canelo jumping up the way, getting that trinket, the whole thing was just pathetic.
Yep.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Cam, like, Rocky has always been mediocre, and even though I was trolling everybody with this fight, like, he has always been shit. And frankly, for him, beating a guy like Zoiga is actually overachieving. You know what I mean? Because overall, he's just not very good. He looks like a novice compared to somebody like Canelo, and it looked like a guy who was kind of in shape that trains, you know, in his free time, a bit of boxing and gets in the ring with a pro. That's honestly what it looked like. You know, the difference in punching speed and power and technique was just so fucking evident, and it's, just kind of sad.
All right. December 8th, we had the return of Kell Brook against the stripper Michael Zarafa. It was kind of hilarious that, like, Brook just keep chasing Khan, keep talking about him, and then he just puts on that shit performance. It was just funny to me.
Tell me more, Ken. Tell me more.
No, it was just funny. Like, they kept talking about how he's like changed trainers and he's like had the best camp of his life, and you know, he's gonna put out a real statement, isn't he, Jim? And yeah, man, he just looked shit from the first round. Like, he was just getting like Zarafa was laying hands on him, man. Like, Brook was so stationary, and I was just hoping, man, that like Zarafa catches his eye socket and just fucks up his eye, and then he loses to this guy. Serious, man. I was praying for that shit.
The truth is out.
Yeah, I was praying for that
exactly.
shit.
This is the time where Cam gets vicious, man. Like, usually you're a nice guy, but when it comes to Brook, I think you secretly wish terrible things upon him.
I do, man.
He does. He does.
Oh my god! I mean, Cam, the whole card was just a fucking disaster. I mean, Brook Zarafa. First of all,
Zarafa's the guy that Quillen battered, yeah.
Yeah, at one.
Quillen almost killed him.
Yeah.
Literally, he sent him to the fucking hospital, if I'm not mistaken. So it was not a good look. And then you bring this guy out of nowhere, and it's just an unnecessary. Brooke has so many unnecessary fights. Like he loves to go like the Anthony Yard route when he's an experienced veteran. You know, like he just loves beating up fucking nobodies, and you know it makes himself look so fucking bad. Like I get the whole Khan situation, but mate, fight somebody with a fucking pulse for God's sakes. Like,
is this like one of the worst managed careers in like UK boxing history?
It's got to be
like
up there.
Someone who's meant to be like an elite, a good guy, like quite a good guy.
If it's not number one, it's definitely up there, man. Like I can't really think of anyone else who's been so mismanaged.
Mitchell, but that's more because of his lifestyle, maybe. But I mean, maybe that's both of them.
I was gonna say machete.
Yeah. But like, if you take someone like, compare him to someone like Ricky Burns or like say Warrington, like he's pathetic. Yeah, he has not made the most of his abilities, and he managed to get stabbed twice. I don't know. I'll say it again. I've never met anyone who's been stabbed twice.
Right, yeah.
I went, and I've never met anyone who's been stabbed twice.
I mean, Hackney, innit?
No, behave yourself. But you know what I mean? We've all met dickheads, and like never anyone has been stabbed twice.
Mate, listen, like last show I did a run through his resume. I'm not going to do it again because frankly it's just despicable, but it's like you said, his career is a fucking joke. He's got really nothing. He's got really nothing to show for himself. And the thing is, like, people, you know, especially people like Hearn and some other, you know, Kell Brook fans have always rated this guy like very highly, like he's some sort of like master boxer. Like, mate, he really isn't. Like what has he really achieved in his fucking career? Nothing.
Remember when Heyman went through that stage of like putting all his fighters up against exactly? I mean, this guy was one of them. Like up against those guys, so they could all get highlight reel knockouts, so he could put them onto his promos, right? Like he went through like 6 months of letting his fighters just badly KO people, which is really, really dangerous. But that's what this fight was for Kell, right? To make a statement, and then he went 12 rounds, and the guy lit him up a couple of times. I don't know where you go from here. Like this is a retirement fight. Like people would come off that and go, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Mate, remember when Brooke was basically like he was pretending to be the Golovkin of the welterweight division, where Eddie Hearn and him would always come in interviews and say like, "Oh, nobody wants to fight me. Nobody wants to fight me." Like, I remember those days, man. I was always pissed off about it. Like the guy is just a fucking fraud, and apart from that, like. His face and his voice just really pisses me off as well. I'm sure you feel the same way, Cam. Like, there's just something about him that really annoys me. And I pray that one day he will take a fight against a true 154 and just gets obliterated. Like, I really, really want to see that happen.
Jarrett Hurd.
Hurd.
Let's hope Hurd.
I hope it's going to be Hurd, because that will be Cotto Margarito all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Smashed to bits.
Oh, actually, no, it will not, because he will fucking quit. He will not continue to fight like Cotto, even though people like to say Cotto kind of quit. But if you think Cotto
kind of definitely quit.
Nah, man.
Yeah, but man, look at Cotto's face when he was getting battered, man. Kell Brook never went through that shit.
Kell Brook just started blinking and thought, that's it, I'm out of here.
You two are right, enough Kell Brook.
All right, enough Kell Brook. Kate, just regarding the undercard, it was a bit disappointing that Josh Kelly pulled out against David Avanesian like the night before. I think he weighed in and he wasn't looking too good, and then on Friday night he said he's not fighting. So that was a bit shit. So Carroll and Frenoy was made like a co-main, which wasn't a great fight. Carroll was just getting counterpunched so much, and I think he was lucky to get a draw, to be honest. I thought he lost the fight. Fowler, I mentioned it before, he fought, I think he was an Argentinian, Jose Carlos Paz. First round, Fowler hits him with a beautiful left hook to the solar plexus. Paz goes down to a knee. Fowler hits him with a kind of left hook on his arm while he's on the knee. and then a right hook to the body while he's on a knee, and then he wins the fight. Like, you know, he doesn't get disqualified, doesn't get points deducted, nothing, man. It's just a joke, man. But there you go. It's the home fighters. Kid Galahad.
Don't worry, Cam. All you got to think about is we know in the next 18 months, Fowler is going to get so badly iced. It's going to be like the last days of Rome.
Seriously, Leon, like, if you're game, man,
in the streets, burning houses down when that happens.
When he fights Cheeseman, should we go to the fight? Because I'd love to see Cheeseman beat him.
I want to be there.
Yeah, man. I'm down for that. So that was September 8th, and the last one on the same day, but in Madison Square Garden, New York. Vasily Lomachenko versus Jose Pedraza. I don't really spoken to you guys about this fight, but overall for me, I was a bit disappointed. I know I put Lomachenko in very high regards, and maybe it's my own fault for kind of expecting too much, but you just kind of... You didn't flatter himself too well. I think Pedraza was good. His head and upper body movement was decent, so Lomachenko wasn't landing that much. I also thought maybe Lomachenko was taking it a bit easy with his right shoulder. Maybe he just wanted to get through this fight without any complications after the surgery. So maybe that played a bit of part. But yeah, he won the fight. I think the scorecards were a bit wide, to be honest. Like one of them 119, 107. Yeah, he got the knockdowns towards in the 11th round. But up until that point, he didn't look like vintage Lomachenko, but I'll give him a pass because of the surgery. How about you, Leon? What did you think?
It's a bit of a nothing fight, end of the year fight. He won it. There's not much to say. Like I said, it wasn't his best performance, but who cares? He'll go on and hopefully fight good guys. Like, he won the fight, but how many times have he fought this year? Like, enough to give him a pass on one, right?
I think that was
while he won, he still won.
Yeah, it was second because he had the injury. He was supposed to fight again in September, then he had the surgery. So he only fought Linares in May and then Pedraza in December.
I felt like he'd fought more than that, but maybe it's just the last 18 months.
Yeah,
maybe
Rigo fight was last December.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
December
So 3 months,
yeah.
3 fights in a year. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
That's not too bad, isn't it?
What did you think of the fight, though, Kimo?
You know what the funny thing is? I actually haven't seen the fight. I was totally not interested in it and just kind of I forgot about it. I never liked the Pedraza fight, and I never liked Pedraza, by the way. But listening to you explain it, I am kind of disappointed that he went fucking the distance with this guy, man. Like, he should have put him away. So I think that's just going to hype up the Gervonta Davis bandwagon, bro.
Yeah,
they're going to be like, he put him away, innit?
Hopefully we get that fight. Like, we need some of these big fights to be made soon. Like, everyone's just avoiding each other. No one wants to fight each other.
Gervonta Davis needs to just be like, just get his life back together, the weird-looking little lesbian. He's a strange-looking dude, man.
Cabbage Patch troll.
Yeah, just weird.
That's about what was on the undercard of that. My boy Dogbo lost, man. I was disappointed with his performance, to be honest.
Tell us how you feel, Cam.
I was disappointed. Like, Navarrete was good, though, man.
He was good.
Yeah. He lost to... He was respectful as well. He said to him, look, I've kind of got a bit big-headed in a bit after becoming champion and need to get back to where I was before. Like, you give Navarrete every credit, didn't really make any excuses. So, yeah. That's pretty much up for the review of the maybe last 3-4 weeks. So, should we get into the 2018 awards then, boys?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, let's start.
Let's do it.
Let's start off with Fighter of the Year. I'll go through a few names. I'm not saying all the names I agree with. It's just a kind of majority poll what I've seen, banded around the internet. So obviously it's going to be this person, but Alexander Usyk, Canelo Alvarez, Inoue, Lomachenko, Aldo Alvarez, Tyson Fury, Maurice Hooker. Any other names you want to add? If not, like, who's your number one fighter of the year, Leon?
Like, predictably, I think it's got to be Usyk because, like, how he won that tournament, and then, like, for personal reasons, what he did to Tony Bellew. So those things outweigh everything else that anyone else has done. I think, number of wins away from home against good guys, winning a shit ton of belts, then smashing that cunt up, and I mean battering him as well, like battering him. Like he battered him for 4 or 5 rounds. I don't care what anyone says that Bellew's in the fight. Like that's the only guy I think, because it's been quite a poor year really. So I think he's head and shoulders above everyone else.
I can't add anything more to that. What about you, Kimo?
I would have to agree, and I'd like to add to that also, the collection of the belts, the manner at which he performed as well. I think he's also a fighter that has shown a lot of improvement, even though he's a very experienced guy now. He's almost like a veteran at this point. Like he continues to improve, and that's something at that stage of his career, especially a guy with such an extensive amateur background. I think it's very impressive. I don't think we see that from a lot of fighters.
No,
and especially dudes with extensive careers from the amateurs.
They can't evolve.
We don't. Yeah, they don't. Well, some do. Some do,
but a lot fail, don't they? Because they can't get out.
A lot of them fail, and Lomachenko is one of them, for example. But a lot of them fail, but they don't. Even if they evolve a little bit, I see really, really a lot of strong progressions from fight to fight with Usyk. And I always thought he was kind of a one-dimensional guy, and he totally isn't. He's actually quite the opposite. He adapts himself to each opponent nowadays, and I think it's very impressive. I can't say I'm a fan of him, to be honest, but I will absolutely 100% enjoy watching him fight. And just the skill that he's got is fantastic. And you combine that now with the aggression, for example, that he showed in the Bellew fight. I've got nothing but praise for him, man. He's the one guy that's basically unified his division, fought the best. He, like you say, he participated in a tournament. He hasn't talked any bullshit in the media. He just got on with the job, and that's also something that we should admire. Like he's willing to face anybody, and you know what? He might actually do the same next year, because if he's talking about going up to heavyweight, I don't know if he's going to get the same success, but the fact that he's already talking about it now, and if he eventually does it,
he's doing it. He's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it too. But I've got nothing but admiration for the guy. Like he really, he's just a cool dude that fucking is a very, and I'm not trolling here. He's a very brave guy as well. Like he's willing to fight anybody, literally anybody, and there's no drama around it, which is very refreshing. There's no, will this fight get made? Will that fight get made? With him, I don't have to worry about that stuff. He's fucking signs the contract and gets on with the job. And it's been very refreshing to see him this year, man. I think he takes it easily, by the way, Cam. I don't think there's anybody that's had his consistency as well. Like you brought up a couple of names, for example, like Alvarez, which had a fantastic performance, but it's one performance and not the consistency and the overall elite level. Minus Bellew, that he's been fighting. So,
but the Bellew thing's interesting actually, because like Bellew didn't go into that tournament. He held a belt at the time, so kind of Usyk's kind of just like, oh, now I'll just go and tidy up that last little bit of mess in my house.
Yeah,
which is exactly what Andre Ward did not do out of the Super 6. He had the opportunity to do it. He didn't fucking do it. And guess who fucking did it? Usyk did. So
yeah, he went and tied up the guy who ducked the tournament, who'd been mouthing off. Right.
Yep.
That's you put to bed.
Yep.
That's that done. Completed.
And if you remember, like I was a bit of an Usyk critic, right? And he shut me up completely. Like that rarely happens, right? That you just as anybody criticizes this guy, there's nobody that can talk shit about this guy. At the moment, he's completely immune to all criticism.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you got to take into account is like some people have tried to say some people have said that division wasn't that good, which is I think a strange comment. But one thing that division is definitely the biggest punching division. Like all those guys in that tournament, like he would be ranked as the guy with the least power, wouldn't he? Going into that tournament, all those guys, even from the very beginning, they could all punch. And he dealt with it. Like I thought he had a tough time against Bradis. I thought he had a tough time, but he got through it, and then he got better. Like you said, I mean, I know people are going to say we sound like fanboys, but you know, I don't think we are. I just think it's just got to go on you look at the results and go, well, that's quite clear, isn't it?
I think.
Yeah.
No, I'm certainly not. I will not be in the future either. But it's like, look, man, if you're gonna go from the argument of the division is shit, you can apply that to a lot of things, right? There's a lot of people running off with fucking.
But only after he won it was shit. That's what I'm saying. People said,
but I don't. For example, I don't think Inoue's opposition is fucking better than Usyk's. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Yeah. Guys like Breides and especially Gassiev. Let's not go now in hindsight and say like, oh, Gassiev is shit because he got dominated by Usyk. Gassiev is a fucking skilled guy. Okay, we've all said that going into that fight, and then he just got shut down completely. So we can't go back.
Putting one of the best performances of the years, beating the Cuban guy, where it changed a lot of our people's like, oh, all right, it's a closer fight. Yeah, that performance was so good.
Yeah, that's on like one of the lists on Fight of the Year. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were picking Gassiev. Let's not forget that. I'm not sure if I was one of them. I think I was one too.
Yeah. But look, I don't think is there anyone. Is it worth discussing the other why the others are on there? I just don't think it's.
No, I did want to make a point. Kimo said earlier that Usyk is head and shoulders above anyone else on the list, and I totally agree. However, like in other years, I think some of these fighters might be, feel like they've been hard done by because a lot of them maybe could have won it in another year where Usyk wasn't so dominant. Like I think Hooker, to go on the road, beat Flanagan in Manchester, then go on the road and beat Saucedo in his hometown. I think that was a great accomplishment. PM
that might be overachievement of the year.
Possibly. PM versus in the chat said add Warrington to your point earlier, Leon. You also mentioned Warrington.
UK Fighter of the Year.
Beat Selby, beat Frampton. Yeah, so they maybe give him the UK Fighter of the Year. Canelo, like, he only fought really one good fight. Like, the feeling fight was just, you can't even mention that, to be honest. Lomachenko, fought twice. Pedraza for performance wasn't that good, The fight against Thingy was pretty good in May, but
but all those guys fought as the main guy as well.
Yeah,
as the A side. He was on the B side.
Yeah,
like I'm not really big on that stuff, but I think away victories like Usyk does means like all those fighters you mentioned there were heavy. Maybe the Canelo wasn't heavy favorite, but he was he was always gonna get the rub of the green. I think him and Lomachenko fall under that bracket.
But yeah, definitely Usyk, man, number one. So let's move on to Fight of the Year. I'll name some names, add anything, people in the Mixler chat if I miss anything and you guys add something too. But we have Canelo Golovkin 2, Saucedo versus Hooker, Wilder versus Fury, Chisora versus Takam. I didn't personally want to put that one in there, but other people have put it in, so I put it in. White versus Parker, Dorticos versus Gassiev, Lara versus Hurd, Wilder versus Ortiz, Tananka versus Kimura, Loma versus Linares, and Dogbe versus Magdaleno. Kimo, what's yours? And have you got any honourable mentions from that list that you want to talk about?
Man, it's I'll tell you what, I think it's a decent selection, but I don't think there were that many fights this year that really blew my mind.
There was not that one fight where like there were multiple knockdowns and one guy was way behind and he came back. Like there were a lot of good fights, but I don't think there was that really one diamond in the rough.
Yeah, exactly. And they were all decent fights, but they kind of lacked that really, really fucking drama, you know what I mean? Like, that was not really present here. I mean, Canelo Golovkin 2 was a good fight, but I don't think that makes the list. So Saucedo Hooker, yeah, I think that's definitely up there because it had some back and forth drama, right?
Yeah,
like that's. But it was more of a fight that in hindsight I just watched and was like, oh, I really enjoyed that. But the implications of it were not that big, so I wasn't really emotionally invested in it. In terms of emotional investment, Wilder Fury is up there. I don't think aesthetically, it matches up to the other fights, but I think it's definitely a good one.
It definitely had that drama as well, like the two knockdowns and then how Fury fought back in those rounds where he was knocked down and he came back But yeah, there were a lot of spurts in the fight where there wasn't much happening. So
yeah, and I think White versus Parker, I think is a little underrated. I think that's definitely up there because of the drama again. In spurts though, not the rest. The rest of the fight wasn't always that good. Again, Wilder Ortiz was good, but not great. I definitely, man, it's hard to say. I don't really have one particular fight that I think like, oh, that really blew my fucking mind. I think in terms of impact, I think Wilder Fury might actually take it. Because of how many people got involved in it emotionally. I don't think there was any fight this year that has much impact and implication of it because it really shook up the boxing world. It had a lot of media attention. It exceeded expectations. And it just had a certain tension about it, Cam. It might not have been the wildest fight with crazy punches thrown, but you were glued to the screen watching it. And then you get the climax of it, which sends everybody over the top. And I rate that very highly. To me, like a fight of the year isn't always two guys just banging it out.
It's
sometimes I've watched, like a fight where people are continuously throwing bombs, but nobody gets hurt. That's not a fight for me, right? Like that's not a fight of the year.
Yeah,
and even though I love the lower weight divisions, sometimes when I watch, for example, a Giovanni Segura fight, like there's nothing happening, even though there's 1,000 punches being thrown, and it just doesn't move me, because it becomes stale.
I see your point. Like when there's an added storyline, when there's other implications, it does add to it a bit. Like to your point, like Tanaka versus Kimura, I don't know if you've seen it. It was a great fight. Both guys are slugging away. Both guys landing clean on him. But they weren't shifting each other. Like there wasn't really any big drama moments where one guy gets hurt or there was knockdowns or nothing. So for me, it takes a bit away from the fight. I want to see a bit of like a comeback or a guy go through some adversity in that. And as you said, we didn't really have one of those fights this year. Maybe there was one in some gym in the Philippines somewhere that only Naota saw the fight, but I didn't see that fight, so I can't talk upon it. But Leon, what was your personal fight of the year?
Personal favourite fight of the year, like not just personal things that I was most emotionally involved in was UCAT knocking out, making Jarrell quit.
Was that this year?
That was a good fight.
Was that in 2018?
It was indeed. I just double checked it before I said that.
Well,
that was an absolute personal highlight. That was May 20th.
That seems so long ago.
March 3rd. March 3rd, 2018.
The rematch.
Yeah, the rematch.
Okay.
When he made him quit again. That was meant a lot to me. And I also think Hurd ending the Lara debate was another personal highlight. So I don't think, like you said, I don't think there is an out-and-out winner where there's one fight where you like, that's one for to save on a hard drive and have again. I don't think, like personally, the Darrell fight would, like I've watched that quite a few times this year. So that's definitely my fight of the year.
Yeah, I would have to probably put Wilder Fury, but personally as a fight, I really enjoyed Dogboe versus Magdaleno, and also it's not on the list because it was a bit one-sided, but I liked Ramirez versus Orozco. I thought that was a pretty fun fight, even though
that was a good fight.
Yeah, Orozco didn't really do enough. There was a bit of drama and stuff, so yeah. So that's fight of the year.
Gassiev Dorticos was also definitely.
Great
I think
fight,
that's a close second, probably. That's probably. Fury Wilder number 1, and then that one is number 2 for me.
Yeah,
and then
I was actually gonna say Conor Ben Pinot, but that was in the end of 2017, I think, right?
What, the first fight?
Yeah, the first fight, which was an absolute war and probably quite a legendary one at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So it was the 13th of December 2017, the first war in York Hall. What an incredible fight that was, wasn't it?
Wasn't it, Jim? Alright, let's move on to KO of the year, knockout of the year. So, because it's in the recent memory, White versus Chisora 2, Chisora versus Takam, Usyk versus Bellew, Innovate versus Payano, Teofimo Lopez versus Menar, Danny Garcia icing Rios like he got shot. Jamal Charlo versus Hugo Centeno Jr. Lomachenko versus Linares. Chocolatito versus Fuentes. Povetkin versus Price. Gvozdyk versus Stevenson. Joshua versus Povetkin. Burns versus Scotty Cardle. That was a
Lols.
That was a lols for days.
Lols that Burns is on the case.
Awara Davies.
Awara Davies versus Paul Kamanga, and Spike O'Sullivan versus David Lemieux. Quite a few, man. There's probably quite a few I missed as well. But Kimo, what was your personal favourite?
In terms of the visual, I think Inoue versus Payano is probably the best. I think that was such a crisp fucking right hand. And the way that Payano fell down, hit his head on the back of the canvas as well, and then just stiffened out. It's a scary knockout for somebody that way, man. Like, Inoue has got some serious fucking concussive power.
And also,
it's a scary
Kimo,
knockout.
To your point about, like, fight of the year, it also applies to stuff like this where it's about the whole occasion. Like, I did mention people like Burns versus Cardell, which is like one shot guy versus an even more shot guy, and Awara versus a nobody. But even though they're impressive KOs, this is like two high level guys in a tournament where all the best are competing against each other. Like, you have to kind of bring all that into perspective, and for him to ice him so quickly as well with such a sweet combination, like, for me, it is also knockout of the year.
It's just a really crisp shot that he hit him with. I mean, it was incredible. To be honest, though, like, in terms of the aesthetic, Awara Davies had a fantastic knockout. But it's just unfortunate that against an absolute nobody. I have to give a shout out to Pricey getting iced by Povetkin as well. It was, but Price makes it easy. I'm not going to give Povetkin that much credit for it, because Price always gives you a nice look. You know what I mean? Like, he's such a tall fucking bastard as well. Like, he falls like a tree. You know, like, it just makes it easy to look good. You know, and he wasn't even looking at the punch when he got fucking clocked with it. So, man, Pricey, what a guy.
Leon, what about you?
Just one second. I'm just looking at something.
Leon's looking at Gvozdyk versus Stevenson just to kind of reminisce.
Yeah. In terms of most satisfying one, that's probably it, isn't it? Oh my god. Seeing that guy get fucking nice.
Through the list, I think we had an argument last year or maybe the year before. I think it was last year because we were talking about Gassiev when he had that beautiful body shot. I said you can't really have a body shot for a knockout of the year, but the way Lomachenko disguised that right hook to the body under the elbow of Linares, that was a beautiful knockout, Kimo. Bit of a quit as well, but great knockout.
Yeah, I don't think that was as much of a knockout as the one Gassiev had, because that really was a KO.
Yeah, the other one was a light quit.
Yeah, there was like, oh, beautiful body shot. What? He's not getting up? Like, that was kind of my reaction. So, well, I wouldn't categorize it as KO of the year, but again, Loma is fantastic and he's very skilled, and that was a gorgeous body shot.
Go on, Leon.
I was just checking to see I couldn't remember how Wilder stopped Ortiz, and it is a bit messy, but he does catch him with that uppercut and make him do like the knee slide. Like, it is pretty brutal.
Yeah,
but I was just checking that, but yeah, I think.
But it's not clean. It's not clean like Inoue. Inoue is clean as fuck.
It's kind of clean, but he's already hurting with unclean shots. But I think that term of what's his name, Lopez one,
Teofimo Lopez versus Menard that happened just recently.
Yes, Spike getting iced by Lemieux was very satisfying. Stevenson getting iced was pretty fucking brutal.
Do you remember?
That's a good one.
Do you remember the Choco Fuentes one? That was quite brutal, man.
I do remember that.
Yeah, that was good. I think there's been quite a few good ones, but again, Bellew getting iced is like highly satisfying.
For Bellew, it was the way that he fell with his legs spread out. You know what I mean? And you kind of see his belly flopping all over the place,
and getting stunned where he stood up straight and then getting cleaned. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really nice KO. And again, the funny thing about Bellew is, like, I don't think he got punched that hard, but he got punched in the right spot on the chin. You know what I mean? Like Usyk just really placed it correctly, and it just was a very natural way that he just shut off the lights. It was really good.
And then seeing Hearn's devastated face as he ran towards Tony to try and hold his head up, that was hilarious.
That was a thing of beauty. All
right, let's move on. Next category, like there's not many in here because when I was researching, I couldn't really come across like that many round of the years. Obviously, we got Wilder Fury round 12, and I've also put Parker White round 12. But have you guys got anything to add? I know I did say to you if you got any adding, but I couldn't think of anything else, to be honest.
I'm sure I've said over the year a few times, "Oh, that's up there with round of the year," but I can't remember any of the fights.
That's not.
But I think you've got to go Wilder Fury just for the drama,
just for the Undertaker.
But, yeah, I think you've got to.
It has to. I mean, it's just
in
no
a big
way.
fight.
Yeah. The Parker White round though is pretty fucking crazy as well.
You know why?
There's a lot of.
You know why I put that in there, Kimo? Because like I rarely get emotional during fights, and like you get those people that shout at the TV when they're watching sport, when they're watching football or anything else. I've never been that person, but in that last round when Dylan got dropped and there was like not much time left, and I was thinking, oh man, you're losing this. You need to. I was shouting at the TV, and I never do that, so that's why I put that in there. I was just so pissed off Parker couldn't get to him again, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was one of those moments where I wasn't really invested that much in the fight going into it, but like you, as it went on, and I realized, like, hang on, this is a really good scrap, and I was kind of rooting for Parker somehow. Like, I don't know why, because I don't really like him, but somehow I find myself rooting for him. But obviously that had to do with the fact that he was facing Dillian Whyte. And, you just get that fucking pop moment where something dramatic happens or you jump out of your seat and you just, I was the same like you, man. I was like, fucking get him. You know what I mean? Like, I went crazy and Parker just, I don't know, man. He just doesn't have it. Like, there's something missing in him. I don't know what it is. And usually guys, from that part of the world are fucking blood and guts warriors, but he just, I don't know, man. He just, I can't fault him because he's in a blood sport and he is there to fight, you know what I mean? But he just doesn't have that extra killer instinct. I feel like he's too nice of a guy to really, really, take him to the next level. But regardless, it was a great fight. It was a really good fight.
Yeah, PM versus in the Mixler chat has put up Heard Lara round 12. To be honest, I can't remember what happened in that fight. Seems so long ago, I'd have to go back and watch it. But moving on to upset of the year, I've only got 3 really nominations, so add any if you got any people in the Mixler chat. I've got Brandt versus Murata. Like, I don't think anyone give Rob Brandt the idea of winning that fight, and he kind of dominated Murata, man, made him look like a bum, so that was a big upset. Almeida Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev. I don't know, going into it, I did think Alvarez would be able to do well if he could maybe take Kovalev's punch, so maybe it wasn't a big upset, but I think most people probably favoured Kovalev to win the fight, so see what you guys think. And also Selby versus Warrington. I think I and a lot of people did think Selby would be able to school Warrington, and he did not, and Warrington won very convincingly. So have you guys got any to add? If not, which was your upset?
I think
go ahead.
I think it's got to be Kovalev getting ice, because it just felt like it was the most. I think it's still a shocking win. Like, I know he slipped a bit and there's rumours and stuff, but like, he got taken out, pretty badly. Like, I don't think anyone saw that coming, really. They might have given him a chance, but not to do what he did to him.
I honestly, I'm surprised you put Selby Warrington, because I would put Warrington Frampton. I think that's a bigger upset.
Yeah, I agree.
More impact. And again, the nature of it was way more dramatic. The Selby fight was a little bit messy, I was impressed, obviously, but I kind of I would expect him more to beat Selby than actually beat Frampton in the way he did. So that's probably the bigger upset.
That's fair.
But yeah, I have to kind of agree on Kovalev Alvarez. Kovalev has always been kind of a bit of a boogeyman. Yes, he got in trouble versus Ward, but that's Andre Ward. I think this one kind of came out of the blue, and at least for me personally, and the way it happened was also very dramatic. So I have to give it probably to Alvarez, I think.
Just in the chat, Shams 1000 mentioned Natasha Jonas losing to Vivian Obanov.
Yes,
good one, mate. Good one.
That gets it.
Oh, mate, the fucking Gallagher reaction to that was just incredible.
Another L for Gallagher.
Callum Smith wasn't an upset beating George Groves, was it? But
nah,
that's not really.
No, but it was a good performance.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to what we got left. A prospect of the year. Joshua Buatsi, Joy Joyce, Josh Kelly. I wouldn't really put it into there, but I saw some people put it into their list, so I added it here. Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney. Add any you have not seen on my list, and give me yours, please, Leon.
I'd say Lopez off that list, but I can't. Who else has there been?
I think it's between Buatsi and Lopez. Lopez has definitely shone last year. Like every time he stepped up, he's got impressive stoppages or he's looked very good, and that's the whole point of when you're coming up on your prospect. You want to get your name out there, and he's definitely done that. Buatsi again, every time he's fought, he's put in good performance. Sometimes he just kind of. I don't want to say he puts in workman performances because he normally gets to do that out there, but he's not always looked great. Like he's looked very, he's looked very good in the sense of you can see he's got the pedigree and he's got the skills, but sometimes when you want him to kind of maybe turn up the screw, he kind of just kind of steadily just goes along his job. He doesn't really switch gears enough, I think. But like Devin Haney's really good. He's very defensive, I think. I think if he was more offensive, maybe he would be up there. But he kind of seems to play it safe quite often. And that's it, really. Kimo, what's yours?
What about Triple D, bro?
Triple D, I don't know, man. Like,
nah, he ain't fought anyone.
Yeah.
Has Buatsi?
No, I think it's a poor year. Maybe there's some people we're missing that we're being casuals about, but I think Lopez for me, clearly.
I think we're missing King Rai as well off of that list.
I was going to mention him if he was in the mix.
if we had like if he had the king of social media, he'd definitely win it.
I think he's made an impact on the scene this year, so I think he's definitely up there. I mean, popularity, I think obviously is not a measuring stick, but he's got some potential. I think he's got potential being in a lot of fun fights and good events. That's what I think. If he's going to be elite is another story. I think Buatsi probably has, more potential in that sense. But correct me if I'm wrong, but Buatsi has been beating the same guys for 2 years. So choosing him now as a prospect of the year, my opinion hasn't really changed on him. Like I said, I want to see him in against good opposition. So let's see what happens. But there wasn't really one really like breakout prospect for me, Cam. I'm not really bothered in choosing anybody in particular. Josh Kelly, again, he's even the moment he came onto the scene with that fucking quadruple left hook. I don't think that was this year. That was last year, right?
Yeah, I think that was late 2017.
So again, he's not really somebody that caught my eye this year. I'm just waiting for them to fight somebody.
Just some names that Shams 1000 put there. He said Munguia went from prospect to world champion. He did. Hrgovic, the Croatian heavyweight, and Efe Agjaba, the Nigerian heavyweight Olympic bronze medalist. Man, Shams 1000 knows his shit, man. Like,
who the fuck is that guy?
What else we got? Like, this is interesting. When you saw my list, guys, at Trainer of the Year, I had nobody on that list because I don't think there's been one trainer that really has exceeded. Like, it's all good putting like the trainer of one person, but he's only trained one person, so it's difficult for you to give the shout. Like, you could say, oh yeah, Lomachenko's pops, but yeah, he kind of dabbled with training Usyk, but he's never really come out and been Usyk's main trainer. And then, like,
I think this is always the worst category.
It is, but like people like putting Ben Davidson up there, but like Fury fought an absolutely joke fight. Then he had like a 10-round sparring session, and then he had a really decent fight against Wilder. But
Roach burnt him hard online. Do you see that interview Roach gave about him?
Yeah,
he shat all over him, man.
The thing is, like, most of that was Fury. Like, how much of that training really? I think, no disrespect to Davidson, but I think Davidson is more of the guy that just stays with Fury day in, day out to make sure
him concentrate.
To make him sure he's not eating sugar and shit. Like, yeah, he's more like weight trainer, I think. Like, yeah, he may give him tactical advice, but Fury's been boxing so long enough, I think he knows what to do in fights. Like, he's not, I don't think, as much praise as I gave to Davidson in the last show, like, I don't think Fury learns a lot from Davidson. I think he's just there to kind of aid him now and again. But yeah, the trainer of the year, it's a bit of a dead one.
Give it to Jamie Moore just for
lols.
Just for lols, yeah.
Piss chemo off.
Oh God.
Bum of the year.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I agree, Cam. There's not really one guy that really stood out and that you can really say like he's built up somebody from the ground. You know what I mean? And put his stamp on that. There hasn't really been anybody off the top of my head. Yeah, who else is there, man? Shane had a fucking bunch of losses.
The only person, and I hate to say
Plus
it, the only
Lefton.
The only people who've had their fight forever is Canelo's guys.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they do now with like Oscar Valdez and that. Now they're getting a bigger team.
Fail so much.
Yeah, we'll see if they're really good trainers now, which I don't. Cause
I hope they get exposed.
But the thing is, I think Valdez is a guy that's unpredictable, so he might get exposed. And who's King? Who is King Ride training with them now?
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
One thing you have to give to those guys is that Canelo is technically a very, very, very good fighter. And I've said this many times, like defensively, offensively, he is one of the most technically sound guys. And he has been with them from day one. So they have been doing something right. Obviously, the guy has a lot of natural talent. But I think Canelo, in terms of his defense, especially, it sets himself apart from most of the other boxers at any weight class. So I think this will be an interesting test. I think if for example, Valdez comes out, after a couple of fights and he's become more defensively sound, throws crisper shots, better punch selection, I think we have to start taking these guys a lot more serious than we have, because we joke about the bar, they don't really do shit, but
in all seriousness, they also had their fighter courts, so they can't win it on that because they were involved in that. Yeah, they were involved in that.
Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, so Dominic Ingle not winning it then, no?
No, Dominic Ingle's just, look at what happened to Brooke.
I'm just trolling by
they've kind of distanced themselves, man.
Off the good stuff.
They've kind of distanced themselves from each other.
Yeah, but you're off the good shit, you get beaten up by a stripper.
All right, let's go to Bum of the Year, and Brooke is on the list for chasing Amir Khan.
Yeah, 100%.
Adam Smith for his bummer comments before the Bellew Usyk fight. That was just a big L for him. And Billy Joe Saunders for all the social media bullshit, getting some crackhead to slap some random person in the street, and him getting caught for that nasal spray and everything, man. Like, Billy's just had a terrible year. Anyone in
he wins it hands down. I mean, he's just fucking human garbage. I mean, he's fucking awful individual.
I mean, he really, I'm trying to say this in the most poetic way possible, but he really, is a symbol for the word bum. If you would look up the word bum in the fucking dictionary, then you will find a picture of Billy Joe Saunders. Like, the guy is just a fucking low-life trash. And despite, having a little bit of boxing skill, I just have no respect for this guy whatsoever. And he's been terrible in the media. He's been the way they've been trying to defend him, pissing hot as well, is just incredible. Trying to blame other people for it. Mate, I think with him, like, the writing's on the wall. Like, the whole transformation ever since he joined that fucking camp as well has been so goddamn obvious. I have nothing good to say about this guy. He's just an unlikable cunt, and I don't know, man. He deserves the award, absolutely. But if that's the case, Cam, I do think we need to give Adam Smith the moment of the year, because that moment where the fight starts and they zoom in on the ring and he starts with, of course, bomber is not a reference to the Manchester bombings that happened here 2 years ago, and it's like, what?
Yeah, I think Smith gets the what the fuck award, man. Like, what the fuck are you thinking award?
It is single-handedly the most random fucking brain fart that happened the whole year. Like, it's just incredible.
It was crazy, man. And just going back to...
Can I also... Sorry, one more thing. Can I just say as well, like, I don't know what his obsession was with the word pulsating in the last Chisora White fight, but he must have said pulsating like fucking 50 times throughout the broadcast. It's a new word that he found, and he was absolutely fucking ramming it down our throats. Like,
Kimo, like, I'd be interested to hear how Adam Smith would maybe talk to his wife on a dinner date. Like, would you have any view on how that conversation would go?
Oh, mate. I mean, the funny thing about Smith is whenever you hear him talk in an interview, he doesn't break character. I can't tell whether it's just really him or whether he's just been so caught up in this persona over his boxing career. And to be fair, though, it is a long boxing career. Like, how long has he been doing this? Like, I remember, like, the Diego Corrales fight,
Castillo, yeah.
where he does a pretty fucking classic call, right, Cam? Like, it's just, he is a talented commentator. I'll give him that, but lately he's just become a fucking parody of himself, and I can imagine that, when he's making sweet love to his wife, he's gonna be like, left off, he's just like, oh man, like, I cannot just deal with that voice, man. Like, even in a normal interview where you just want to have a calm conversation with Adam Smith, he just puts on this voice. Like, it's just too much, man. Like, just give it a rest, bro. Honestly,
just chill.
Anyway,
Right. Duck of the year, like, there's probably a few that have happened, but I've not really tried to research it because it's just not really an important category. But I think the fact that Khan signed with Matchroom and then had one bullshit fight, knocked Greco out in a couple of seconds, had another bullshit fight and looked like shit, and now as we're going to talk about...
That was a war, dude.
As we're going to talk about soon about the Crawford fight, ducked Brook again. And even though, you can have this conversation every day of the week about how the fight is washed and it's not really a fight people are demanding. It is a fight that people still want, I think.
I still want to see it. I don't care.
Yeah, still want it. And I think, come on, man, just give him the fucking fight. I know you don't want to give him the payday and that, but come on, like, you're just going to get iced by Crawford. Then you're going to fucking have two more bums. Then you're going to have another big fight and then probably retire, man. So, just fight the dude. What about you guys?
What other ducks have there been? I mean, that whole Yard and Buglioni and everyone on the British title scene, for the British belt, seemed a bit of a mess and felt like a duck. And he ducked Barrera, didn't he, just now? Or was that this year?
Yeah, I think they basically just giving Barrera shit money and they thought, fuck that, why should I fight for that purse?
Yeah, well, fuck him. So, yeah, him for me then.
What about you, Kim? I know you hate Yard. You're just going to put Yard in there for no apparent reason.
It is for plenty of reasons, Cam. But, the whole Khan Brook drama is just... It really is incredible. I don't know how this is going to end, and now it's become such a mess. Like, the things I read on Twitter, I don't know what's true anymore, what's not. Has Khan really come out and said that Brook needs to come out of the closet?
Yeah,
is that an actual fact?
Yeah. Call him gay.
I mean, there was another soundbite where he's talking about You know, man, you're getting stabbed 2 times, man. What's going on? Like, he's just like.
I agree with him there. What's happening in your life?
Yeah. It's like there's something about your character, you know, that he was like suggesting, and it's just getting really ugly. But at the same time, it's really entertaining. But the timing is now. Like the fight needs to happen now. Like the dramatic fucking soap opera theater that's happening right now is at its absolute peak. So it needs to get signed fucking now. But it's not going to happen because apparently the Crawford fight is a done deal.
Khan is committed to the troll though, isn't he? Like he's got himself badly iced and about to get himself badly iced again just to keep it up.
Khan definitely wins the troll of the year, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, how bad is it, Brooke? If Khan's making kind of really succinct points about your personality, like that's not a good look, is it? If you're getting mentally outplayed by Khan.
You know the crazy thing? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but since Khan made that comment, Brooke's been more posting pictures with him and his partner and his kids and all that. It's like he's just trying to prove that. Nah, man, I'm not gay, man. I got a family and. It's crazy.
Man,
it's within an inch of his life.
It really is insane, but I think that the hatred must be so big that there's a good chance of this never happening. No matter how much money they're going to throw at Khan. And Khan, I have to give it to him. Like, he's got a knack for fucking getting into fights. Like, I don't know whether it's his name or his connections or the fact that people always want to fight him because he's a big name and they will knock him out. I think that's probably his biggest gift. It's his biggest gift as a matchmaker because there's not that many guys that have such a high return on investment as
Keep
Khan.
getting the big fights.
You get a highlight reel knockout. You get paid a lot because he's a big name, right? And there's a lot of publicity. Whenever Khan gets involved in a fight, there's always a lot of spotlight on it, right? Even remember our reaction to Canelo Khan, even though it was a completely useless fight. Do you remember all the fucking publicity and media uproar around it?
It was the best. It was the most out of the blue event in ages.
Yeah, and it just creates a lot of, I don't know whether to call it excitement or not, but it just creates a lot of fucking buzz, you know. And Crawford, who is a very vanilla type of character, you know, like, you know, just scored a home run. He's like, oh, I'm gonna fight Amir Khan. Everybody's gonna talk about it. You know, a lot of people will probably mention Brooke in the process as well, but it's all good publicity. I'm gonna get a nice paycheck, and I'm gonna fucking knock this guy the hell out. So.
In a war, it will look like a war as well.
Yeah, because it's always
Khan
dramatic.
Can't help himself.
Khan will always have a few successful rounds. Everybody will get off their feet, including me. And then all of a sudden, boom, you know, it's going to be done and drama, and he's going to look like he's on ice skates. And it's going to be fantastic. The guy is simply must-see TV. And I think that's, like I said, I think that's his biggest gift as a matchmaker. I think he will, until he retires, he will continue to have big fights because he's just such a wanted guy. On the other hand, Brooke is not, you know, and Khan will use that against him. And I think the hatred is so real that he probably will never give him the fight. I honestly think like Khan despises him so much. He just does. He can't mentally deal with the possibility of Brooke winning, even if it's only 1%. Like he just cannot bear. I think it would mentally kill him to get beaten by Kell Brook.
Yeah, I think you're
honestly,
right.
I think it would. I think it would destroy him mentally. I think it would drive him to insanity. I honestly think it would.
I think you're right. But moving on, last category for me, unless you guys have got any more, and I've only got 2 nominees. I just couldn't really think of any. The first half of the year is like for me, I can't remember. I can't remember half of the shit that happened in the first half of 2018. So, robbery of the year. It's just recent memory fights. We had it a couple of weeks ago, Jamal Charlo versus Tony Harrison. We've kind of discussed that to death. So another one, Wilder Fury, I think, because of all the drama and the Undertaker and all this shit, people forget how bad the scoring was, I think, especially for that one judge that gave it wide to Wilder. So I don't know. You guys got any to add? People in the chat, Shams and the PM, add some more names.
I would say the worst scorecard of the year, for me, one of the worst, was that Postel Josh Kelly fight. Josh Taylor fight, sorry. The one where he gave
really
all 12 rounds to Taylor.
Yeah, that was Pathetic.
That was a terrible scorecard, and it's not a robbery, but you know, it was an awful. That was awful scoring.
You
And that
got
was a good fight. I enjoyed that fight.
you got any chemo?
I don't know, man. The one thing that sticks in my head is just the Charlo fight, but I don't want to get into that again
That's
because
fine.
Leon is just trolling the fuck out of us.
But you guys got any more categories, or should we move on?
No, man. I think that's about it. Overall, though, I don't think it's been that good of a year for boxing.
No.
There's been a lot of development,
fights.
some good fights, and some crazy knockouts, some cool things that have happened, like the tournaments, you know, finalizing and all that. That was definitely a big bonus for me. Like I really, really enjoyed, you know, Calais and his fucking tournaments. Those were really cool.
It's funny.
Obviously, there were some developments, you know, on the business side of things and promotions and the end of HBO. It was a strange year, man. It really was.
There's no consistency through the year.
No. I think it was a developmental year, and I'm curious to see how the next year plays out.
Chemo, did you?
Because I'm hoping.
Did you see the last maybe 30 minutes of the HBO's last broadcast when they kind of said the final goodbyes and then went to a showreel of like kind of the last 45-year history of HBO?
I did see it, Cam, and I thought again.
It was it was beautiful, man. I think I shed a tear as well. You know, like it was amazing.
It's absolutely fucking brilliant. I have no other words for it. I mean, it's incredible. Again, from a production standpoint, from a legacy perspective as well. God, man, fucking HBO, man. It's. I think I spoke a little bit on it before, but just watching the sheer amount of highlight reels, drama, you know, classic commentary moments. Man, they have such a fucking big history in the world of boxing. It's just incredible, man. And man, I like you said, I really got emotional as well. I don't think I cried, but I probably wanted to a little bit because
it's crazy, you know. When Roy Jones was just kind of going off the top, thanking all the people, and then he kind of like teared up a bit. Then they went over to Max, and Max's voice was like, I was like, oh my god, what's happened to Max, man?
Yeah, but look what these guys have witnessed, man. When you look at everything, you know, in aggregate, and all of a sudden you put everything next to each other, the fucking history of it, man, it's just so incredible. And HBO boxing for me is what got me into boxing, man. The whole intro, the tail of the tape, Harold Letterman, you know, like it's all that feeling of nostalgia. And I remember the first time I watched it as well, like the broadcast, it instantly captured my attention. There's just something about it that the way they present it makes it feel important, you know, and they have that, there's nothing like a big fight feel, right? And HBO always has managed to put on a production, the way they capture the crowd, the music, the entrances, the Lampley commentary, you know, like they've always created that feeling of like, wow, I'm watching something really important, you know. And for people that lived in the US, you know, you would get your fucking money's worth if you buy an HBO pay-per-view most of the time, obviously. Sometimes not, but in the classic days, like you would feel exhilarated, you know what I mean?
And 24/7 with Liv Shriver was just much more better than anything else with All Access or any other version, man. It's just their production value and even his voice, like, you know, this was a production of HBO boxing. Like, it's just, I'm gonna miss it, man. I'm gonna miss it.
It's the best production that we've ever seen in boxing by a landslide, and they're pioneers. Everybody has tried to copy it. You know what I mean? Like Sky have tried to copy the Face Off. Showtime have tried to copy the 24/7. They've pioneered so many fucking classic moments, and they've done it even at the late stages. You know what I mean? Like think about, for example, the Face Off between Cotto and Margarito. Like how fucking classic was that shit? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's such a good promotional tool as well. The way they get you invested in the fight, man. It's sad, and I have to say as well, like special shout out to him because people oftentimes make fun of this guy, but Jim Lampley really is the GOAT, hands down for me. Like, that guy is the best commentator in fucking boxing. Like, the way he has captured certain moments, and he's had help, obviously, like from Roy sometimes and things like that, but he is fucking incredible, man. Like, he really is. And I don't give a shit whether he cries once in a while. Say what you want, that guy has incredible passion for the game that you cannot beat, and it translates in the way that he does his job. And also Larry Merchant, man. Fucking Larry Merchant is legendary. Like, cannot say enough good things about these guys, man.
Yeah, man. Larry was in that montage, when he pushed that guy back and he's like, had to get a bit physical.
Yeah, he's a gangster, man. Even though he's a small dude, a small old guy. Like, he's always had a very interesting relationship with the fighters, whether it's for the good or for the bad. Like his interactions with Nassim, for example, are just so great. There's something about Merchant that either gels well or it doesn't, but it always makes for good TV.
Yeah,
right? Always.
And then there's always that Floyd one about kicking your ass if he was 50 years younger. But let's move on, Kimo and Leon. Leon, to you regarding Eubank De Gale, we kind of all seen it on the cards. They were talking about it for a good couple of months, but I guess the real winner is Poxon, man. Poxon getting this PBC deal over in the UK, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of good. Everyone seemed to be. I think people have got a bit overexcited that we're getting Pacquiao and Broner for free, and like, oh, this is going to save British boxing, no more pay-per-views. But then, De Gale and Eubank is a pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be difficult.
I'm not buying that. And I'm not getting behind, like, Heyman's just one of the same, he's the same breed of fucker that all those other guys are. Like, I'm not getting over, I don't trust him to come over and do a fantastic job where we get all these amazing fights and all this amazing content. Like, no, I don't, I don't trust him to get it done. But I'm excited that Broner and Pacquiao is on TV, and I'll stay up and watch that because that could just be amazing. Like, if Pacquiao dials back the clock and puts a beating on him, I think a lot of people will be over the moon.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
So yeah, no, it's exciting, but let's see. I don't trust them. Like, my first, my initial reaction is to be cynical about it.
What do you think of the fight? Like it's only maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks away. Like, who do you favour?
What was De Gale's last performance? Did he win back his belt?
Rematch against Truax.
Right, and it was.
Just didn't look great, to be honest.
Didn't look great yet. Yeah, that's what I remember. I thought so. So I don't know. I think for all of Eubank's numerous faults, like having an engine on him and keeping going could work to his advantage here because I thought that's what would help him in the Groves fight. Groves put on a great performance. Do we think that De Gale's got it in the gas tank to keep going and going? Then no, I don't think. I think he will win a lot of rounds, but I think there's a good chance that Eubank gets to him.
Yeah,
because he'll gas. But
yeah,
I think it's a good fight.
It's a good British
it
fight.
Feels like De Gale feels like damaged goods. Eubank feels a bit like damaged goods.
Yeah.
But it's still a good fight on paper. That, like, the build-up will be good because Eubank will definitely get in his head.
You say that, but at the first press conference, like, he was a bit laid back. So I think Eubank's been a bit humbled after his second loss, the one to
But I don't
Groves.
think De Gale will wind himself up. I think that's what more than anything. I think it's easy for anyone to get into De Gale's head because he's prone to throwing off, flying off the handle, But I guess that must come from just having a sister like that. Like, it must be just hard work. Just having to put out fires
all the guys haunting your sister.
Exactly. That's where that short temper comes from.
Kimo, what do you think? Me personally, like, De Gale's just been synonymous with, like, you know, after a few rounds sitting on the ropes doing nothing, and that's kind of ideal for Eubank, someone that's going to stand in front of him. I think for De Gale to win, it's going to have to be a big ring, and he's just going to be the best De Gale that he's been for the, you know, he'll have to, like, bring the years back and just be old De Gale where he's got fresh legs, and I can't really see it happening. Eventually he's going to sit on the ropes like he did against Porky Medina, and you know, I think Eubank will tee off on him, so I favour Eubank. And what do you think? And also, thanks for letting me know that it was free, because when I heard it was free on ITV, I thought my man's going to be back, man. He's going to shit on... let me know for Pacquiao versus Broner being free on ITV, because I thought, you know, Prince Nassim's going to be shitting on Broner all night, man. Fingers crossed he's on there.
Yeah. It's on ITV4. Sorry.
Mate. I know this sounds terrible. I think he should finish.
That's what I want to hear, man.
He's such a legend. I think it's a cool fight, man. Like, I'm happy that it got made. I still have interest in seeing Eubank, even though he kind of shit the bed numerous times. It's a tough one to call, man. I don't have a lot of faith in Eubank. I could still see De Gale, despite doing the usual routine that he's got, kind of, you know, eke out a decision and kind of win the first few rounds, chill out in the middle rounds. Eubank will get some success, but will not press the action enough. And then De Gale will kind of nick a couple of rounds in the end and win the fight, maybe a split decision or a close decision. That's kind of what I see happening. I think, I don't know, man. I feel like Eubank has always had maybe the physical talent to be a good fighter, but he doesn't choose a style and stick to it. Like for Eubank, he's got the chin and the cardio to be a pressure fighter, but he's not really a pressure fighter. Like we often talk about, and especially when you listen to a broadcast of a Eubank fight, we often talk about, oh, Eubank needs to pressure, Eubank needs to do this, Eubank could get him in the later rounds. I'm sorry, but when has he ever really fought like a pressure fighter? Just because he comes forward and in the last couple of rounds gets a little bit of punches off doesn't make him a pressure fighter, man. Like he did that shit against Saunders. It was too late. He tried it against Groves. It only happened because his shoulder popped out. Like a lot of times he's just kind of laying back and he's the same way that he's in the press conference, very laid back. Like he doesn't have the temperament of a pressure fighter, and he certainly doesn't choose to outbox people because he simply acts a little bit too cocky in the ring. You know, he's kind of just chilling out, you know, hands down, couple of shots here and there. Like there's just not enough work rate for me. And I don't know, he says he's got a new trainer now. He says he's actually learning things. I don't know if that's true or not. And he says he's actually going to devise a game plan because previously he never had one. And to be honest, he might be telling the truth because he does look like he never has a game plan, right? He's always kind of just doing the same thing. So if he chooses to at least pick a style and run with it, then fucking do it. Go out balls to the wall in the first round. Commit to the body, you know, believe in your chin, trust in your chin because you've got a good one, you know, and fucking stick it to guys, man. Like, I really think there is something there in terms of talent, but he just chooses to kind of just lay back all the time, and then, you know, you act surprised when you lose the decision. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like Eubank is just, there's something mentally not right with him. He seems also way too content sometimes to lose, which bothers me as well. Like I've never seen the guy really disgusted with his own performance. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, I lost, and you know, we just got to go back to the drawing board and see what happens. It's like, dude, like, come on, this was your opportunity, and you just kind of did the same thing you do every time. I don't see any change. So I think this will be another fight where either he evolves and adapts or his career will go nowhere. I think this is a really big opportunity for him. And if he doesn't take it, you know, with both hands, then I've lost absolutely 100% faith in the guy. I mean, it's already kind of gone, but I've got a little glimmer of hope that at least we can see a good fucking solid performance from him, whether he wins or loses.
All right, thank you, Kimo. Moving on, are we even discussing Floyd beating up that kid, man? That was just child cruelty, man. I don't think we should even touch that subject.
What else is coming up fight-wise? So is it just the Broner... When's Broner and Pacquiao? A couple of weeks?
Calm down, Leon. I have got the previews, man. Chill, bro.
Sorry. But I thought we were previewing the Gale and Eubank.
That was more just news, because we'll probably do the show before that fight. But I just want to talk about Khan Crawford quickly. I know we touched upon it before, but here's how the fight goes. Khan comes out, first 3 rounds, looks great because Crawford's a great starter. Then Crawford starts working and it ices him in the 6th round. That's it. So we don't need to see the fight, to be honest. That's all we need. But all jokes aside, like, for me, I would class Crawford as a southpaw now. Like, he fights so often from that stance. Like, do either of you think he comes out southpaw and remains southpaw throughout however long the fight lasts? The reason I ask that is because Khan's always been pretty good against southpaw, so I think Crawford might be better as an orthodox. But what do you guys think, Leon?
I don't know, really. But I think he does what he kind of... I think it's quite a clever move. Going back to what Kimo said, I think it's a clever move to get him. He's obviously one of the few fighters that he's got available that he can get to for the fight. And so I think getting him, stopping him, looks good for him. But whether it actually really means anything, I'm not sure. And I see him going out there and just doing kind of almost whatever he likes, really. Like you said, Khan will do something in the first couple of rounds, which gets us overexcited, and then he'll do that body work, and then he'll slow him down and get him.
Leon, you're going to wear your Pakistan cricket shirt for the fight, or?
Yeah, I fit into it now. Yeah. I will do.
Kimo, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page, Cam. I mean, I think maybe, because Crawford is a little bit susceptible to guys with some speed, he might actually get a few punches to the face from Khan. It all depends on, of course, on how Khan fights, but he's become a little bit more aggressive now again under Goossen, so I kind of like that. My prediction is pretty identical, man. It's going to be him getting quite a few shots off, kind of like Gamboa did. Crawford will, take it, remain calm, adjust. To answer your question about going southpaw or not, obviously I don't think he should turn southpaw because, like you said, Khan has been very successful against them. But Crawford is a weirdo when it comes to the switching of the stances, man. He sometimes does it randomly in fights, and I wonder why he does it. And he sometimes does it when he's having success from one stance, and then he suddenly switches. It's really weird. Like, I don't think there's a lot of rhyme or reason to whatever he does, and I highly doubt that his corner is instructing him always to do this. I think he just does it based on how he feels because he's a creative guy in the ring. So yeah. I'm not too sure, but if he's smart, he'll stay orthodox. That's what I would say.
All right.
But he's just a durable guy, man. Crawford will easily outlast him, and he's got good power. So at one point, something will go wrong for Khan, obviously.
Yep. All right. Any news you guys want to talk about? Anything you've seen over the past couple of weeks?
Apart from a few shit cards that Eddie Hearn is putting on in the US, there's not really that much to talk about.
This time of year, January, is always a bit quiet. There's always kind of cards getting worked and fights being worked, and the kind of fallout to Christmas and New Year is always a bit quiet. But I have got a few fights to preview. If we should just go straight into that, then.
Yeah, do it, man.
Sure.
All right, we have on Sunday, no idea why it's on a Sunday, but there you go, boxing in America for you. This Sunday, the 13th, is Jose Uzcategui versus Caleb Plant. It's an interesting fight for me because obviously we saw Uzcategui, we kind of got high on him after the first Dirrell and the second Dirrell fight, cue to Leon, but I don't know, I saw his last fight against that Moderna guy, and he just looked like he was going through the motions and always touching gloves and hugging and shit after the bell. And it's like, what's going on, man? Like, keep your eye on the ball, man. Where's the eye of the tiger? And he just looked kind of, even though like in the rounds he was trying to like hurt the dude and that, but he just looked kind of complacent a bit at times, and I've seen Plant fight on a few occasions, and if the ring's big, I think Plant can make Uzcategui look like a bit of a bum. Like, Plant's not the most flashy guy, and he looks a bit boring at times. He's a bit safety first, but he's quite slick. He doesn't really get hit clean. And he can counter on the back foot and kind of pivot out and get away from you, man. So I don't know. I think this fight can be a bit of a stumbling block for Uzcategui if he's not on his A game. That's my opinion. You guys want to add anything?
I think Uzcategui will stop him. He will be on his A game.
Let's see. What do you think, Kimo? What you can say?
Don't you and Lim always have like this inside joke about Caleb Plant?
Not really. Like he knows him quite well, and he says he's a really nice guy, so he's kind of got a soft spot for him. But
that's why.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that much of Caleb Plant, to be honest. I like Uzcategui, but I didn't see his last fight. Obviously, I'm eternally grateful for what he did to Dirrell, so I'm always going to have a soft spot for him. But in terms of style, he's definitely one of those fighters that I really like. Like, the way he fought Dirrell was just really enjoyed it, man. He looked fucking good. And I really, really rate him based on that. So I need to check out that last fight and kind of see how he looked. But it sounds like it's quite the opposite of what happened with the Dirrell fight, because I fucking hate it too, Cam, when people keep touching gloves and try to be all buddy-buddy in the ring. Like, get on with it, mate. Like, the way he just manhandled Dirrell and just showed that aggression, like, I love that. Like, he seemed to me like a really gritty, cold fighter in those fights, so I'm a bit disappointed to hear that.
I need to go back and watch the fight he had with Korobov as well, because he lost that fight, and I don't know. I want to see how his mentality is towards the end of the fight, because on the box description they said Korobov cut off the eye by accident headbutt in the 5th, Uzcategui down twice in the 7th, and then it went to a UD, and he lost quite wide on the card. So I need to go back and watch.
Korobov dropped him?
Yeah, twice in the 7th. That's what you know how box
down a division as well, though.
That was at 160. Yeah.
You might be hiding glass.
Shut up! No one. He can never do any wrong. I don't want to hear this.
We'll see. We'll see if Kimo's curse is passed on to Leon. But undercard wise, I don't think there's much to really mention. Brandon Figueroa versus Moses Flores. But moving on, Friday the 18th. Kimo, you said it earlier about DAZN and Matchroom, man. Just an awful card. At the moment, there's a lot of TBAs. Maybe they've not been updated on the box rec, but Andrade's fighting a guy that Billy Joe Saunders fought at that swimming pool in Scotland a couple of years ago. Gerald Miller, TBA. A new guy that signed TJ Donahue, TBA. Amanda Serrano, who they signed, is fighting Ava Vodaberga. Jorge Linares fighting Pablo Cesar Cano, which is not a bad fight. Cano's, he's got a lot of losses in that, but he's always game to fight. He always puts in the effort. Chris Algieri signed to them, and he's back against Daniel Gonzalez. But overall, Kimo, another shitty card by DAZN, man.
Yeah, and then it's all a bunch of names that you really don't care for, and then they're fighting absolute fucking nobodies. So I saw somebody tweet today, like, the U.S. was always like praising her, and now they're getting exactly kind of a taste of what the UK fans have been feeling for a long time, and they're getting their own version of a Brooks Rafa card. So it's quite lovely, isn't it? It's I mean, let's face it, Chris Algieri is single-handedly saving that fucking broadcast. Like, I'm kind of hyped for that comeback, to be honest.
I prefer to hear him on the commentary, to be honest, but there we go.
Is he still with the same trainer?
Jackson. As far as I know, yeah, I've not read anything that he's left him. So
no, he's not with that old trainer, Kimo. He's not with the guy who got interviewed at the ringside against Pacquiao.
Oh, the guy
let him out the cage.
Oh yeah, he's not with him. No, he's with John David Jackson, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Okay, then I won't watch. Fuck that shit. I would only watch it with that old trainer, man. The guy's a fucking legend.
No, I think he left him after that fight. I think he's been with Jackson for a few fights, but Moving on, Saturday 19th. Actually, I didn't get your opinion, but you don't give a shit about these shitty DAZN cards, Leon, even though you're getting checks from DAZN these days.
I've got nothing to say on the situation.
That means you've nothing positive to say.
If I've got nothing, like you say, you've got nothing good to say nothing.
There we go. All right, Saturday 19th.
Playing it safe.
Better
the bummy card.
You got to pay your mortgage, innit?
The bummy card. They know it's a bummy card. I told them.
Have you told him? Well, that's good then. Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner. Break it down for me, Chemo. Like, is Manny gonna shine or what?
I was watching the promotion today, the little whatever it's called, fake 24/7 with AB going crazy on the pads, man. He's looking sharp, bro.
Bro, I watched it as well, man. It's like Manny Pacquiao giving money away and Adrian Broner like looking to buy jewelry and cars.
He's looking good. No, honestly, man, like I've AB as a elite level fighter is dead to me. He just isn't that good. He doesn't live the life. He isn't as skilled as we all thought he was, and we've had this discussion a billion times, and he's just not a good fighter. Manny, despite his age and despite all what he's gone through as a boxer, is still a formidable opponent, and I think he still moves well. At least from you can get old overnight, obviously, but from what I've seen of his last fights, like he still looks good, man. Like for his age, he looks fucking good. And I think this is going to be perhaps a very, very painful beatdown for Adrian Broner. I think it all depends on Manny and the way he's going to, push the pace. But if he decides to get a little bit of a tempo and a rhythm going and lets his hands go, it's going to be bad, man, because AB is flat-footed, stands in front of him, and these are the type of guys that Manny eats for breakfast. Like, stylistically, this is one of the worst fucking matchups for AB. So, I think it could be quite bad. I don't see any possibility of AB catching him with a left hook or something and dropping him. It's always possible because Manny's getting up there in age, but overall, I see just Manny using whatever legs he's got left, with a little bit of a pep to his step and just peppering him with punches. And AB's got a good chin, so it's going to be a problem for him, man. He's going to take a lot of punches.
Leon, what do you think?
I think exactly the same as just what Chemo said. I mean, I think it's tailor-made for Pacquiao to look good, and you can't trust Broner. I mean, there's nothing to suggest that you can trust Broner, is there? Recent performances, his behaviour outside the ring, and yeah, I hope Pacquiao does it. I hope he puts on an absolute masterclass, makes him quit.
Yeah, I haven't really got anything to.
I don't think he'll quit. I don't think he'll quit.
No. That's my choice.
AB.
Yeah.
He's
tough.
Quit.
Yeah, he's tough. I'll give him that. But yeah, that's what I see happening because I think Pacquiao's just about got enough left.
It's amazing that Pacquiao's 40, and if you had to put it into context in the welterweight division, he's still one of the main dudes, man. Which shows how kind of weak the welterweight division is, even though we kind of praise it so much.
I think it shows how fucking good he is, Cam, to be honest.
I
don't think it's that weak.
Or the juice is taken.
I think I didn't want to think the welterweight as well. I don't think everyone's that high on it anymore.
Not anymore, but at one
the
point...
The glory days of the welterweight division are gone. Let me put it that way.
The welterweight.
The best ones will move up.
Remember that era where it was just so fucking intense and you had all these guys like fucking murderers row in the welterweight division? Obviously, those days are gone. But, man, think about it. Who would you pick currently, active or non-active? So almost guys like Thurman, right? Who would you comfortably pick to beat Pacquiao?
Porter.
Now.
That style, Porter's style would be
comfortably, terrible. Cam? Comfortably?
Yeah, I think he would.
I don't pick him comfortably.
Spence might do a number on him.
Spence, yes. And
that's just because of size.
Down, yes. I don't think Porter beats Pacquiao easily. Absolutely not.
That's it.
I don't think Thurman beats him easily. Absolutely not.
Chemo, you're breaking up a bit.
And he's gone.
Try hanging up and then calling back. But
Yeah, I don't think Furman would beat him easily. I think only Spence is the only guy, and Spence and Crawford.
Crawford, yeah, definitely Crawford.
Yeah. So that's it. The others, I think, he gives everyone a good fight.
Kimo, you still there?
There you go. Well, that's exactly. Yeah, I'm still here. That's exactly my point. Like, I think Pac's just still competitive, and there's going to be a moment where obviously he really drastically ages, but as it is now, like, I think he's still very competitive and probably beats all the guys, man. Like, the dude is just fucking good.
All right. Undercard wise, what else have we got on that? Rushy Warren, Badu Jack Marcus Brown. Not a bad fight. Brown's still undefeated, but I think Jack should kind of beat him comfortably. That's about it. Saturday, 26th of January, Jaime Munguia's defending his WBO 154 strap against Takashi Inoue, who's not related to any other Inoue clan. Saturday 26th so it's the same day basically on Fox. So hopefully we'll get my boy Goosen back at commentary. Keith Thurman versus Josezito Lopez. Shit fight really, but
shit fight.
I don't know. Keith's comeback fight, so give him the benefit of the doubt for the injuries and inactivity. You guys want to talk about anything? Should we move on?
Nah, man.
Undercard wise, not a bad fight. Adam Kownacki versus Gerald Washington. It's pretty decent.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, Washington only got 2 losses. Big dude as well, so should be a good fight. Saturday, 2nd February. I don't know when the next fight is, when the next show will be, so we'll just cover these in case we don't do a show. But rematch between Alvarez and Kovalev. Leon, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Look, if you think back on that fight, Kovalev was still was doing okay at points in that fight, So I just think it's all reliant on what physical state he's in and if he's still up for it.
Yeah, I think
it's his choice. I think it'll be on him. Like what happens.
I think it's a 50-50 fight still. Like as much as I'm high on Alvarez, I think if Kovalev kind of gets his head together and trains decently, like he should be able to beat Alvarez. Like I had that fight 3-3 going into that fight, into that round when he got stopped. So it's not like Alvarez completely washed him from the first round to the stoppage round. So it's 50-50 fight for me. What about you, Kimo?
I think it's going to be a shootout again. I mean, both guys have a lot of power and they're big dudes, so it can go either way. I think Kovalev always has a chance to hurt somebody and put them away. But I think Alvarez just showed a lot of toughness and grit that's going to be kind of hard to beat at this point, man. I think I'm going to have to pick him again. Kovalev he's a bit dodgy, man. Like, I've always rated him very high. I think he's a skilled guy with good power, obviously, but he's a bit, I hate to say it, man, but he's a little bit weak sauce sometimes, He tends to either be the bully or get bullied, and I think the blueprint is out now on how to beat him, and I really wouldn't be surprised if Alvarez is going to just be able to gut it out again, man. I might have to pick him again.
And I think there's always something in the back of my mind is that he might just be an alcoholic as well. Like he kind of got that vibe where he might be drinking all the time.
Some Russian.
Well, I seriously also think that he just doesn't live the same life anymore. Whether that's alcohol or not, I don't know. But I can't imagine. Well, like a day drinker.
Yeah, day drinker, exactly.
I mean, he's a guy that came from absolutely nothing now, and these days, he's strutting around in a Gucci shirt, living the life. And for him, that's a terrific achievement. He's just not the same hungry killer that he was coming up, and that's definitely part of it, man. Like, I think part of his whole mentality as a fighter is just to have that hunger and killer instinct, and fighting for his livelihood. And I don't think that's just there anymore, man. I really don't think so. And the fact that there's been a lot of bullshit about him, and his personality around trainers and things like that. I don't think he's an easy guy to deal with. And at this point, if you want to have longevity in your career, you gotta have all those other things in place, man. You gotta have some stability, in your routine and the way you train and the way you game plan and things like that. I just don't think that's there anymore, man. He's relying too much on his talent and his power, and that's just not enough, man. So I don't have a lot of faith in him, man. I think he might lose again.
Kimo, I love the way you say dodgy. At the start of your prediction, you were like, he's a bit dodgy, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the UK coming back out, isn't it?
Oscar Valdez.
Knick-knack, mate.
Oscar Valdez is back on the card. His first fight since the broken jaw against Scott Quigg. He's fighting an undefeated Italian, but he's only got 5 knockouts, 19 wins. Pat Day's on there, KH's boy. I was talking to KH, man, because we're both big Luther fans, and Luther returned in January and like 4 episodes back to back, and it was very intense, man. Really good TV to watch. Teofimo Lopez is fighting Diego Magdaleno on that card also. And just in case we're not back by this fight, Saturday, 9th of February, Gervonta Davis versus Abner Mares. Kimo, your thoughts?
It's a weird fight, man. It really is. I don't dislike the fight, to be honest. And a lot of people are shouting the fight. I don't really mind it, but at the same time, it's like, God, man, like, Gervonta had so much potential, but he's just, everything is pointing in the direction that we were wrong about him initially, where, yes, he might be talented like Broner, but he doesn't have the willpower and the discipline to become somebody, and it's sad because a lot of these guys, they try to kind of emulate Floyd and have Floyd as their idol, but say what you want about Mayweather, I fucking hate his guts, but he's a disciplined guy, you cannot fault his preparation and his discipline. And I look at Gervonta now when I see him in interviews and in photos, and he looks like fucking shit, man. Somebody described him as a fat lesbian. He honestly does look like that. Yeah. Like, it's just
he does.
It's just not a not a good look, man. When you're that young, you should be a gym rat 24/7, man. Like getting.
It's not that just he's looked bad. He's also been caught hammered on video, right? A couple of times, which I know, like, you can live your life however you like, but when you then come to make a prediction about a fight, you remember that stuff, like, and that's his own fault for putting it out there, right? So that's why people doubt him. Unfit, drunk video.
And honestly, mate, like, I think those things are very, very evident in boxing. There's not a lot of guys that I can see outside of the ring that have blown up in weight where it always comes back to bite them. Yeah. I can honestly maybe think of, I don't know, I feel like, for example, Tim Bradley. Sometimes we've seen him out of the ring and he looks a little big, but we only saw that in the latter part of his career, not in the later part of his career, not really, in the beginning where he was always fucking shredded to bits. But I do remember a couple of times where Bradley, for example, you would think like, he needs to lose quite a lot of weight, and then come fight night, he looks absolutely fucking incredible. But most guys that outside of the ring look like this, there are always discipline problems, and it always comes back to bite them in the ass. You look at guys like Kell Brook, you look at guys like Ricky Hatton, it always is never a good sign. And with Gervonta, he's way too fucking young to be doing this, right? Like, man, again, I'd hate to sound like a broken record, but look at Floyd in his younger years, man. Like, he lived and breathed fucking boxing in the gym, like, and these guys, they have like one good performance, and then it's like, I've made a little bit of money, and now I'm gonna be fucking partying and talking shit and telling people they have to earn a fight with me, and I'm looking for popularity. Mate, why don't you try to achieve something first? Like, seriously, what have you really done in boxing? Nothing. And I like Gervonta as a fighter. I think he's got a lot of potential, man. I
still think he sends Mares to hell.
It's shit that he's picking on another 126-pounder, though. He did it with Cuellar, and now he's doing it in Mares. It's like, fight someone that's like a 130-pounder, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I agree, Cam. Maybe you never know. Like, maybe Mares can give him actually a few good rounds because, again, how disciplined is he these days? And Mares is a gritty guy.
He's a gritty guy, but I can't see him doing anything. I think he's going to bulldozer him.
No, he doesn't have the power to do that, especially at that weight. But he could give him some problems. He could make it an awkward fight, an ugly fight. You know, something that we don't really enjoy watching. But he could win some rounds. I don't know. It's possible.
All right, on the undercard, my boy's back, man. Erickson Lubin is fighting Ishe Smith, and the reason I mention this is because my boy Ishe my boy Lubin put out a comment after the Charlo fight, and he was like, "I whooped Tony Harrison in sparring," and I was like, "Bro, man, like it's too early."
You can't be saying
shit. Yeah, you can't
man.
say that shit, man. You gotta keep your head down, you know. Win the strap or get into a mandatory position and then start talking shit, man. Like it's you know, you were knocked out not too long ago, man. So you know, hold your horses, bro.
Absolutely.
Cam, why do you still say your boy, man? Why are you not disowning this guy?
No, man. Like second chances, man. Second chances.
Yeah, but he's not. He's a fucking bum, man, for talking like this.
He's a bum for
Build
talking
yourself
like that,
back up.
Nah, man, you're like, don't worry about him, man. He'll be good, man. He'll be good. But Shams had a question in the chat. What do we think of Mikey's recent physique?
Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, looking a bit jacked up on that.
Little tubby.
Don't know, man. He looks a bit weird. He's got a weird body frame.
He's got a very weird.
He's always had a weird body. He's always had a weird body frame, Cam.
But now he's put on a bit of weight. It's like even weirder.
It looks a bit chubby, man.
Shams was saying that Spence looked disturbed and a little nerved by the photo. Said he looked like a kangaroo jack.
I've seen that comparison side by side. Mate, Mikey, I've never liked this fight, and I don't think he should be at that weight. God, man, I again, physically, I don't put that much, you know, into it. Like if he looks weird or whatever at that weight, whatever, you know. But the fact is, no matter how he looks, he doesn't belong at the weight, and that's the most important thing. And even at 140, I don't think Mikey is right. So this is gonna be strange, man. I find it so weird that an elite guy like that will just put himself on the chopping block, ready to be executed. Still haven't really accepted this fight mentally yet. I think it's very strange.
It's so weird. It's such a weird fight. I just don't know what to think of it until it's like right there in front of us.
Yeah, because I was thinking it's still a while away, and you could see some shit happening, like someone's injured or it gets cancelled or something happening, man. I still mentally can't think that this fight's gonna go ahead, and I still don't understand how Mikey must have amazing self-confidence, because I know as a boxer you're gonna go into a fight thinking that you're gonna be able to beat someone. Otherwise, like, what's the point, you know, being in the sport? But like, Spence has so many advantages over Mikey, man. It was crazy that this fight got made, to be honest.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then he's not fighting anybody. He's fighting Errol Spence. Jesus Christ. Like, he's throwing himself to the fucking lions, man. I don't know. And Mikey never really struck me as a big risk taker as well. Like, I always thought he was kind of like a conservative guy who was good at boxing but didn't enjoy, you know, the scarier aspects of the game. And he's taking a huge fucking step. So
did you hear?
I don't know. It's
Did you hear what Spence said about Mikey's dad?
I love you, daddy.
We good friends. I love you, daddy. But let's get it on.
Let's get it on.
Classic.
That's about it from you guys. Have you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, I'm good, man.
That means you got to go because Ruth's coming home.
Yeah, Ruth's home.
Yeah, you can hear it. He's getting nervous.
He's like, hurry up, guys, hurry up, man. I gotta go, man. I gotta go.
Yeah, I've got to go.
Are you doing that fucking podcast again with these wankers, eh?
Something along those lines.
But Ruth,
you have weird online friends, Leon.
I know.
I know.
All right, Leon, Chemo, thank you guys. Thank you to all the people in the Mixler chat, and thank you to the people that download the show. We'll be back next month. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
I did. And I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging.
blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
It feels great. Great.
Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate.
You want one portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side? But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition.